Chapter 1083. Lin Shun used one of his strongest attacks at this stage. Full characteristic rune plus flickering light plus assault plus odd crystal's power. 9 calamity stars. From a sneak attack, Lin Shun was almost certain that the ghost-masked man in gray robes was no weaker than Yen Wuxia and the other two, especially his movement technique and aura concealment technique. Even Lin Shun couldn't react in time. If not for Luo Yao Er's reminder, Lin Shun would have been crippled even if he didn't die. The next moment, bang! 5 9-colored light pillars struck the ghost-masked man in gray robes without any warning. They soared into the sky and slowly rotated, overflowing with a terrifying, destructive aura. Zhao Tianquil, Fei Anxing, and Yen Wuxia all revealed extremely solemn expressions. This Lin Shun could still unleash such a heaven-defying attack. Only Jian Qingsheng was still at ease and didn't even draw his sword. When he looked at Lin Shun with his cold and emotionless eyes, there was a hint of curiosity. The 5 9-colored light pillars merged into one, condensing into a 9-colored light pillar that was hundreds of feet tall, and the destructive power increased even more. Even Lin Shun hurriedly retreated to the side, looking at the 9-colored light pillar with a face full of surprise. He had entered the domain of the Saint realm with his God Slayer talent, and he roughly knew that the power of 9 calamity stars was close to that of a saint. This power, without a doubt, can even shake a saint realm. Of course, Lin Shun was referring to an early-stage saint who had opened 1 saint point. If he had opened 2 saint points, he could easily block this attack. The power of this move is already far stronger than when he used it on me a few days ago. When Zhao Tianquil blocked the Purgatory Wind Dipper killing move, he saw the power of Lin Chen's 9 calamity stars from the corner of his eye, and his body trembled, revealing a strong sense of fear. This Lin Chen's growth speed is too shocking. Forget it. I still can't be bothered to provoke this guy. Even if I use all my strength now, I might not be able to kill him. With that said, Zhao Tianquil took the sure kill move head-on, while quickly fleeing. The corners of the mouths of some seniors who intended to take advantage of the situation twitched slightly, and they sighed before they hurriedly withdrew and ran towards the other side of the battlefield. Yen Wuxia and the others weren't the only ones who had noticed Lin Chen's abnormality. Some of the old antiques had also witnessed this scene. However, they didn't want to risk their lives to get close to the lunatics of the Black Horse Club. Old Antique's target was the saint's body. The Black Horse Club only had 1 saint's body in their possession, so it would be extremely dangerous for them to fight it out. The 9-colored light pillar dissipated, and the ghost-masked gray-robed man appeared. He was in a very sorry state. His clothes were torn, his body was covered in blood, and blood was flowing from the corner of his mouth. His face was slightly pale, but he was only lightly injured. Lin Chen's expression was solemn. Where did this person come from? He took one of my 9 tribulation stars, which is powerful enough to shake a saint, and he was only lightly injured? What kind of monster is this? The sure kill technique dissipated, and the 3 great geniuses were revealed. Lin Shun continuously chewed Long Qingguo and swallowed it into his stomach. His doppelgangers were all on guard. Hey, I'm not fighting anymore. The Black Horse Club is indeed worthy of its reputation. Your Excellency Lin Shun, I didn't expect you to be a monster as well. Yen Wuxia shrugged like a child. He sheathed his sword and gave Lin Chen a thumbs up. Lin Chen smiled faintly. You're flattering me. Your Excellency is also very handsome. You're so strong that I'm a little scared. Yen Wuxia laughed loudly. Come on, you're fiercer than anyone else. We'll fight again when we have the chance. Humph, with your strength, you're not qualified to protect the woman beside you. Take care of yourself. If you leave now, you'll still have a chance to live. Fei Anxing snorted coldly and stepped into the air to leave. Lin Chen didn't doubt their strength at all, although these geniuses were 5th Tribulation Battle Emperors. They gave Lin Chen the feeling of an endless ocean. Their strength was unfathomable. The most direct observation was that they were still unscathed after being hit by a mid-blue rank sure kill technique. This was the strongest proof. They were monster-level geniuses who could challenge saints. Jian Qingsheng looked deeply at Lin Shun and Luo Yao, behind him, and said indifferently, "Your strength shouldn't be limited to this. I'm looking forward to your strength next time. If you can force me to unsheath my sword, I'd be more than happy to do so." She knew that as long as Lin Shun had the space travel technique, the chances of her snatching the storage ring would be extremely low. Jian Qingsheng rolled up a sword light and flew away. She'd only come here to pursue a carefree and unrestrained battle to complete her master's final wish, and not to engage in a battle of pursuit. That would be boring. Seeing that all the geniuses had left, the ghost-masked man fled. With all the geniuses of the Black Horse Club present, he wouldn't be able to take down Lin Shun. These geniuses weren't idiots. They had other goals and missions, so there was no need for them to fight to the death with the Black Horse Club over a storage ring they didn't know anything about. Each and every one of them is quite pretentious. They all came as soon as they arrived and left as soon as they left. Lin Shun curled his lips. Then his heartbeat accelerated. He released the Dragon Emperor, and his dragon body expanded to its maximum size. The Dragon Emperor was like a free little bird, flying around the nearby area to its heart's content. Wherever it passed, it took away all the attribute light balls. Received 88 points of wind energy, 52 points of dark energy, 59 points of fire energy, 99 points of talent, 200 points of heavenly Tao, 28 points of mental energy, 90,000 points of high-grade blood essence, 110,000 points of high-grade blood essence, 80,000 points of high-grade battle chi essence. Lin Shun's attribute value skyrocketed. There were many saints and saint beasts that had died here, so there were all kinds of attribute light balls. Lin Shun had long wanted to catch them all in one fell swoop. That's right, this was also one of the reasons why Lin Shun had blown away so many saints' remains. He wanted to collect all the attribute light balls in the Western battlefield. If he let more than 2,000 geniuses fight here, how could he pick up attributes? Pick up my ass. He, Lin Shun, was lucky that he hadn't been blown into a hornet's nest. But now, he, Lin Shun, didn't have any attribute light balls or attribute treasure chests left. Opened 52 orange crystal treasure chests. Received 1. 85 million blank attribute points. 5. 2 million strengthening points. 5,000 points of mid-grade talent points. 8,500 points of high-grade ability essence. 8,000 points of mid-grade heavenly Tao. Ha ha ha. Awesome, too awesome. I've never seen so many attribute values. Lin Shun couldn't help but laugh wildly. The most puzzled was Luo Yao. She was surprised to find that Lin Shun's battle chi was becoming more and more vigorous. Whether it was quality or quantity, it was soaring in a straight line. She couldn't see through it. Since the beginning of the 9 regions, she had never been able to see through this youth. Behind every seemingly outrageous action of Lin Shun, there was always the greatest benefit that only he could obtain. Opened 3 5-light supreme treasure chests. Received 8,000 points of rune energy, quasi-orange rank passive talent fragment. Super Chaos, 1/2. Super Chaos Fragment, 2/2. Quasi-orange rank passive talent. Super Chaos, Fusion Complete. Talent effect. When the host attacks the enemy, there is a 20% chance of causing the enemy to enter a state of chaos. The state of chaos includes, but is not limited to, battle chi chaos, holy chi chaos, chi and blood chaos, mental chaos, consciousness chaos, sensory chaos, etc. Note, the strength of the chaos effect depends on the cultivation gap between the host and the enemy. This talent can be upgraded to an orange rank talent. Chapter 1084. Gasp. Lin Shun sucked in a breath of cold air. It was a new quasi-orange grade permanent innate talent. This innate talent can greatly weaken the enemy's strength when used at a critical moment, and it can decide the outcome of the battle. However, I still need to test how chaotic this state can be in actual combat. Lin Shun's eyes flashed with battle intent. With his super chaotic innate talent, He had another way to deal with those monstrous prodigies. Lin Shan did not rush to the other side of the battlefield immediately. Instead, he eagerly took the Dragon Emperor's storage ring. His spiritual imprint easily penetrated the ring, and Lin Shan saw the Heaven Atlas Battle Sage's treasure trove. However, after so many battles, the Heaven Atlas Battle Sage's treasure trove was not much. There were only 2 scrolls of pill formulas and a sword manual. Lin Shan did not even look at the sword manual carefully. He scanned it with his spiritual power and focused on an old scroll. Lin Shan's breathing was a little shaky. He penetrated it with his spiritual power, and a series of ancient runes appeared. The 3rd volume of the Tai Sky Concealing Technique. I finally got it. Lin Shan's heart trembled violently. Without hesitation, he took out the remaining 2 scrolls of the Tai Sky Concealing Technique. According to the system's analysis, the Tai Sky Concealing Technique required at least 3 scrolls to cultivate. Without more than 3 scrolls, it would leave behind a fatal flaw in the cultivation technique. According to Miss Xiaoming's mother's last words, half of the reason why the Heaven Atlas Battle Sage died in this battle was because of the flaw in the cultivation technique. He was obsessed with the mystery and power of this cultivation technique, but it was also exchanged for a devastating ending. This time, the system did not fail. It directly recorded the 3 scrolls into the system. The advanced cultivation technique of the 9 calamities of creation, orange grade cultivation technique, Tai Sky Concealing Technique, has been successfully recorded. The host can use the technique essence to learn and integrate the cultivation memories at any time. Note, the cultivation technique's grade cannot be determined. The host needs to collect other cultivation technique fragments. Before the cultivation technique is complete, it cannot be enhanced. The Tai Sky Concealing Technique needs to be perfected before it can be enhanced. No worries. The strengthening foundation of the 9 tribulations of Genesis will be transformed into the foundation of cultivating advanced mental cultivation techniques. The starting foundation of my orange tier mental cultivation technique will still be stronger than others. Lin Shan's heart moved. System, I want to consume all of my high-grade cultivation technique soul essences to learn the Tai Sky Concealing Technique. Consuming 19,970 advanced cultivation method soul essences. Beginning to fuse the cultivation memories of the Tai Sky manipulation technique. Boom! A sea of cultivation memories flooded into the minds of Lin Shan and his avatars. He put the 3 avatars back into the peach blossom plant pouch and focused on fusing the cultivation memories. Only Shindahaisa and Shintoka Sho were left behind, along with Dragon Emperor and Little Shadow, to protect them. Lin Shan left his avatars in the final moment, allowing them to fuse with the cultivation memories of the Tai Heaven subduing technique at a higher efficiency. My spirit power and spirit blood have skyrocketed. I can clearly sense the boundary between the saint level of body and the saint level of spirit. If I have a few more of these attribute light balls, I will have a chance to break through to the saint level. As long as it is the saint level of body or the saint level of spirit, I will be able to defeat all the geniuses present. After Lin Shan put the Heaven Atlas Battle Sage's remains into the peach blossom plant pouch, he turned to look at the area where the chaotic battle was taking place and grinned. How can I, Lin Shan, be left out of this kind of chaotic battle? Luo Yaoer suddenly said, "You can't be thinking of going behind my back to snatch something from that group of people, right?" Lin Shan whistled. "Don't worry, I will protect you. If you lose even a strand of hair, it will be my loss." System, activate the Sovereign's Descent talent. Consuming 230 intermediate talent points. Activating the Sovereign's Descent talent. Entering energy accumulation state. 0 points. Whoosh! Lin Shan flapped his Holy Phoenix wings and activated Dragon Flash. His speed was extremely fast, and he rushed over like a flash of light. On the west side of the battlefield, the mountains collapsed and turned into dust. Giant crocodiles of battle, chi swept in all directions, and wild dragons emerged from the sea. Arrows shot out like a torrential rain and collided with each other. The entire battlefield had entered the climax of the battle. Some of the saints' remains had fallen apart, and the old antiques were frantically trying to snatch them. 4 5th Tribulation battle emperors like them. It was a rare opportunity to obtain the remains of a saint. If they could obtain a saint skeleton and absorb its remaining energy, they would have a chance to enter the saint level. The battle surrounding the Saint Collection storage ring was in full swing, and more than a dozen chaotic battle circles were formed. Geniuses were constantly injured and left the battlefield. Whoosh! Suddenly, a few auroras flashed and snatched away the 2 saints' remains that everyone was fighting over. The old antiques' faces changed in horror. They took a closer look and saw that it was the people from the Black Horse Club. Damn it, little brat from the Black Horse Club. Do you want to die? Besiege him. So what if he has good movement skills? If he falls into our encirclement, he will definitely die. 5 old antiques blocked Shintoka Sho's path. As their battle chi surged, Shintoka Sho suddenly laughed and said, "Why would I snatch something from you old seniors? We, the Black Horse Club, have always respected the old and loved the young." After saying that, he threw the 2 saints' remains to attract more old antiques. Damn it, why are you still here? Are all the people from the Black Horse Club stirring up shit? If you don't snatch it, are you going to stop others from snatching it? Successfully decomposed 2 saints' remains. Consumed 4 20 intermediate heavens path points. Obtained 150,000 advanced battle chi essence, 50,000 advanced chi blood, 101 intermediate talent points. The energy of the saints' remains has disappeared. It's that brat's doing. When the old antiques came to their senses, Shintoka Sho had escaped into the chaotic battle circle again. Similar scenes were playing out in every battle circle. It was very simple. Lin Chen's movement speed was above most people's. Using more than 60,000 light energy to cast plus 15 Dragon Flash, Lin Chen's clones all gained extremely terrifying movement speed. The number of people present who could be compared to him could be counted on one hand. Whoosh, whoosh. With Luo Yao on his back, Lin Chen stepped on the ground and flapped his phoenix wings. He only needed to touch the saint's remains once to decompose the essence energy of the saint's remains. Wherever Lin Chen passed, there would be whales everywhere. In less than 15 minutes, he had decomposed 19 saints' remains, and his stats kept rising. He was unstoppable. The complete saint's remains couldn't be stored in the storage ring due to the remnant saint's power. Only the incomplete saint's bones could be stored. Therefore, the old antiques fought back and forth, and the saint's remains changed hands several times, but not many people could successfully take them away. Instead, they were quickly decomposed by Lin Chen and his clones after they touched them. There aren't many saints' remains left. Let's see if we can get a share over there. Lin Chen dodged to the side and looked up. In the void, there were 15 battle rings. The geniuses were attacking together. Some of them took turns to attack, and the storage rings of the saints were destroyed. Cultivation technique manuals were scattered in the void. I'll choose that one. The one with the highest quality storage ring is the saint's treasury. Lin Chen chose a battle circle where more than 50 prodigies were fighting over a saint's bone arm. The storage ring of this bone arm was one of the highest quality ones present. Coincidentally, Zhao Tianquan was also among them. Lin Chen stepped on the dragon shadow, and his speed was so fast that he could cross hundreds of feet in an instant. Almost all the super prodigies who were fighting over it immediately felt their hair stand on end. This ridiculous movement speed. It's Lin Chen. F***CK. He's coming over. Don't let this lunatic come over. Let's stop him first. This bastard is definitely up to no good. Let's take him down first. Some old antiques witnessed a miraculous scene. The prodigies who were fighting to the death suddenly huddled together to protect the saint's bone arm in the air. As soon as Lin Chen approached, the prodigies who hated each other actually joined forces to fight against a common enemy. Amazing. There was such a thing. Chapter 1085. For the geniuses, this happened to be the best choice. Who knew what this guy was trying to do? The Black Horse Club was a group of lunatics, not to mention Lin Shun. It would be strange if they let him get close. If this guy interfered, it would not end well. All the geniuses were highly united in this idea and turned around to deal with Lin Shun. Oh, join forces? Lin Shun smiled mockingly and flapped his holy phoenix wings again, flashing in another direction. Swish! At this time, Zhen Dijiu held the azure moon in his hand and channeled all his battle chi into the wheel-light odd crystal. A majestic edge rolled out from the azure blade. All the geniuses' hearts skipped a beat, and some of them even greeted from the bottom of their hearts. F*CK. You know how to do it too? Lin Shun was not the only one who knew how to use that peerless blade. Zhen Dijiu slashed horizontally with his blade, and an aurora blade flashed out from his hand. Swish! Rip! The blazing saber light that was rotating at an extremely fast speed suddenly trembled and split into 5. This was the strongest God's Tier that Lin Shun had used since entering the sacred Burial Mountain range. Power of wheel light, odd crystal plus instant light split Shadow Manny Genius's faces changed again. Don't panic. Although his orange sword technique is strong, there are more than 50 of us, and we can defeat his attack with one move each. Maintain your defense. Zhao, Tianji shouted, and all the geniuses immediately came back to their senses. Yes, there were 46 super geniuses here, and 5 of them were ranked in the top 5,000. Even if it was comparable to a sage's attack, it was impossible to defeat all of them. Lin Shun had a smirk on his face. Explode. Zhen Dijiu ordered, and the blade aura exploded. Chi! Bang! All of a sudden, the 5 rapidly spinning blade lights exploded, shattering into countless blade lights. Even though they were mentally prepared, the geniuses were still frightened by the saber energy fragments that were spinning towards them. The blade aura fragments were as clear as broken jade, like snowflakes, and fiercely collided, forcing more than 50 geniuses to use many half-orange grade techniques, incomplete orange grade combat skills, and orange grade techniques. Bang! 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 A destructive aura suddenly rose up, and the spirit chi within a radius of dozens of miles exploded one after another. Even though the space crystal walls of the holy Burial Mountain range were incomparably hard, they were still shaken by this heaven-shaking collision. Many geniuses had their defenses broken by the shards of saber chi and were injured by the shards of saber chi. At this moment, a few geniuses harbored ulterior motives. They turned around and flashed, intending to use their movement techniques to seize the arm bone of the Saint Skeleton in the midst of the chaos. Those geniuses with ulterior motives suddenly vomited blood. The geniuses were shocked. They all realized that their battle chis were extremely chaotic. They were like mad dogs that were rampaging within their bodies. What happened? The world is upside down? That's not right. My mind and consciousness are in chaos. Pucci, my blood energy, why is it not listening to my orders? All the geniuses were shocked, including Zhao Tianquan. Everyone's chi and blood were either surging or their battle chis were disordered. They circulated their battle chis in the wrong meridians, or their minds were in chaos. My arm is numb, and I can't control it. My legs are numb as well, and the third one as well. What kind of saber technique is this? The geniuses panicked, and they used all their strength to retreat to the side. They had never encountered such a situation before. In the distance, Lin Shun smirked. This move is called the Black Horse Club's exclusive move. Chop you until you're paralyzed. A light screen flashed. Quasi-orange tier innate skill. Super chaos 61 times. Duration of chaos 30 to 60 seconds. The super chaos talent had a 20% chance of triggering each attack. The God's Tier saber technique could create a rain of saber chi shards, under the premise that each shard of saber chi shards had a 20% chance of triggering. Almost all the geniuses fell for it, not to mention that it lasted for a minute It was just a moment of pause and distraction. A dark shadow flashed across the void. Lin Chen's Dragon Emperor and Little Dark Shadow had forcefully seized the Saint Treasure Storage Ring. So strong, the Black Horse Club's people have transformed again. When he fought with Yin Wuxia and the others just now, he didn't use this trump card. Zhao Tian Cohen suppressed the chaotic blood in his body and looked deeply at Lin Chun and the others. Right now, he didn't dare to say that he could win against Lin Chun for sure. If he was surrounded by the Black Horse Club, he might even lose his life. Zhao Tian Cohen was even more terrified. From the time he first met Lin Chun until now, the people around him were transforming at a tremendous speed, like an arrow leaving the bow. It's better not to provoke these lunatics. Zhao Tian Cohen silently escaped, and the remaining geniuses glared angrily at him. Lin Chun, don't be so arrogant. The Black Horse Club's people can't take this Saint Trove storage ring. Hand it over. As a genius yelled, a large grayish-white talisman fell from the sky and exploded, consumed 400 points of high-grade rune energy. Shintoku Sho stepped on Dragon Flash, raised his hand, and slapped out. The pure power of the 7 extremes exploded between his fingers. Bang, bang, bang. Apart from the few geniuses in the top 5,000 who narrowly avoided the attack, the rest of the geniuses were all slapped by Shintoku Sho. The genius who yelled at Lin Chun had his finger broken by Shintoku Sho and his storage ring stolen. Lin Chun joked, "Who dares to spout nonsense again?" No one dared to make a sound. This time, the battle prowess of Lin Chen's group was absolutely shocking. Normally, 400 points of rune energy wouldn't be enough to suppress so many super geniuses. However, they were all in different states of confusion and were all sent flying by the doppelgangers. The Black Horse Club is actually this strong. If he insists on protecting that demonic woman, perhaps only that group of people can suppress the Black Horse Club. Looks like it's not that easy to get an orange-grade technique from a 6th-rank sect in the southern region. The geniuses in the other battlefields were slightly surprised, and their eyes were solemn. The strength of the Black Horse Club's members was not inferior to the top 5,000 geniuses in the genius ranking. Even the geniuses in the top 4,000 didn't dare to say that they could win against anyone from the Black Horse Club. Lin Chun led Little Shadow, Dragon Emperor, and the 2 doppelgangers into the other battlefields. With the super chaos talent, Lin Chun broke through the battlefields like a hot knife through butter. No one was willing to fight to the death with these lunatics from the Black Horse Club. At this time, Lin Chun didn't notice that his 9 Tribulations fate wheel had quietly changed because of the fusion of his cultivation memories and his doppelgangers practicing the Tai Sky Fu technique. As strong as Lin Chen's lineup was, they only managed to snatch 4 storage rings. There were too many geniuses present, and some of the rings directly exploded. The items scattered in the void, and the scene was extremely chaotic. Just as Lin Chun wanted to continue, a beam of light rose from the canyon in the depths of the mountain range. A laugh that could dominate the 9 heavens and 10 earths echoed in the sacred burial mountain range. Ha ha! This king's tomb hasn't been so lively in a long time. Geniuses from the sacred boundary, welcome to this king's world. This voice shook the universe, and it was like an immortal venerable, as if it was announcing the laws of heaven and earth. All the geniuses were shocked. Lin Chun sucked in a breath of cold air. The owner of this voice might be beyond his knowledge. Chapter 1086. As this voice spoke, everyone in the inner circle of the sacred burial mountain range felt as if their hearts were being squeezed by an invisible hand. This was a nearly invincible thought. It was as if the owner of this voice only needed a thought to obliterate anyone present. Lin Chun frowned. This sort of pressure gave him a very bad feeling. He was more puzzled than afraid. Why does my 9 Tribulation fate wheel feel that this voice is more like a candle flickering in the wind? Luo Yao seemed to sense something. She indifferently said, "There is a problem here. Be careful." After saying this, she fell silent. Lin Shan didn't know if it was an illusion or not, but this soft and delicate body seemed to be hugging him even tighter. Illusion? It must be an illusion. I have also entered a state of super confusion. The voice from the core circle of the sacred burial mountain range slowly said, This king guesses that some of you must have come for this king's inheritance and wealth, right? Indeed, if you can inherit this king's legacy, then with the talent of you little fellows, it is entirely possible for you to become a ninth stage saint. You might even have a chance to become a ninth revolution saint, invincible beneath the Saint King realm. Ha ha ha, to think that I, the clear sky Saint King, was unhindered in the past. In the sacred boundary, besides those old fellows and peak Saint Kings, this king was one of the saint spirits that stood at the peak of the sacred boundary. As these words came out, it stirred up 1,000 waves. It's actually the clear sky Saint King. Heavens, I've read about his legend in ancient books. It's the peerless monster that claimed to have slain 100,000 demons and become the youngest Saint King in the Saber region. Saint King, I actually heard a Saint King's voice transmission in my lifetime. Many geniuses were shocked. Some fanatics even knelt down and kowtowed towards the light pillar in the core circle of the mountain range, their faces filled with devout faith. The Saint realm was more difficult with each layer. The ninth stage saint already stood at the peak of the sacred boundary. Each one of them was a living legend. A ninth revolution saint was even more difficult to meet. Not to mention seeing one. Even news of one had not spread many times. Most of them only existed in ancient books. Saint King, the strongest life formed beneath the gods of the sacred boundary. Each one of them was a legend. Lin Shan was also shocked. Clear sky, Saint King? There is actually a Saint King's inheritance in the core of the sacred burial mountain range. It was no wonder that a group of saints had fought to the death in this place all those years ago, turning the world upside down. The inheritance of a holy king was enough to drive most powers in the sacred boundary crazy. Then Clear Sky Sage King's voice became impassioned as he said emotionally, "What a pity. Back then, I fought against the demons here. In order to exterminate the demons, I ended up perishing together with them. My heart will never give up." Clear Sky Saint King's voice sounded like a hero who had reached the end of his road and was about to die. Those who heard it were moved, and those who listened let out long sighs. The Sage Monarch is righteous. The Sage King has protected the safety of all living beings in this world. He is truly a role model for us. Many old antiques and geniuses were moved and excited. The Clear Sky Saint King's voice sounded again. My era has passed. Now, I lack someone who can truly lead the younger generation of the human race to kill the demon race. Protect the human race in the sacred boundary. The Clear Sky Saint King's will and voice had a kind of power that could stir the depths of one's heart and enlighten the world. It made one's blood boil. Geniuses, if you have the guts, come and accept my baptism. Those who can inherit my legacy, as long as you swear to exterminate the demon race for me, will become the new generation of kings. I will be waiting for all of you in the tomb. Rumble. All the geniuses were moved. In front of the Sage King's inheritance, no mortal could remain calm. Interesting. Looks like I can't miss out on this good show. Lin Shan was eager to give it a try, and a strange light flashed in his eyes. Luo Yao suddenly asked, "You want his inheritance? You also want to exterminate the demon race in the future? You want to become a human's orthodoxy?" Lin Shan shrugged his shoulders. "I don't want to be a human's orthodoxy hero. I only want to become stronger and protect the people I care about. As for the demon race, as long as they don't provoke me, I have no interest in them." Lin Shan suddenly smiled. Some grudges between races, no matter in which world, different races will never be able to understand each other. In a world with intelligent beings, there will be grudges. When there are differences between races, there will be differences between races. This is an eternal truth. No living being is willing to be inferior to another race. The grudges and conflicts caused by this will always exist. Luo Yao, suddenly fell silent and pondered over Lin Chen's words. Moreover, Lin Chen smiled playfully. There must be a problem here. What dog's hit inheritance, what righteousness of the human race, these things are enough to fool the youngsters. They have no use for me. That's right, there must be a problem here. Lin Chen had already noticed that among the geniuses who were in a frenzy, there were some who were expressionless, treating the Sage King's voice as a fart. Among them, the terrifyingly strong red-robed woman, Jin Qinsheng, was also one of them. She was still expressionless, as cold as an emotionless machine. It seemed that Lin Chen was not the only one who noticed that there was a problem here. Luo Yao asked with rare interest, "Oh, why do you say that?" Lin Chen whistled. First of all, the geniuses here should not have the qualifications to come into contact with the Sage King's strength. If they really want to find someone to take on the role, they should choose the monstrous geniuses list. Millions of years ago, the majority of the monstrous geniuses list were true saints. Now, they're all true saints. If they want to inherit the Sage King's mantle, they should choose someone from the monstrous geniuses list. It's impossible that the Clear Sky Sage King doesn't understand this logic. After saying that, Lin Chen raised his head and looked at the miasma in the sky. As if he saw some ancient array, he smiled meaningfully. However, the Sacred Burial Mountain Range has a method to deal with true saints. True saints do not dare to enter. This is completely contrary to his original intentions. In other words, there is a conspiracy here, a huge conspiracy. Luo Yao said indifferently, "Since you know that there is a conspiracy here, why don't you retreat? Do you know how strong a Sage King is? At his peak, a Sage King can kill countless 7th or 8th Heaven True Saints with a single finger. To the current you, the 4th Heaven True Saint realm is an unreachable existence." Lin Chen suddenly smiled. A starving camel is still bigger than a horse. Those who dare to do it are even more daring. This time, I sneaked into fish in troubled waters. If I have the chance, Lin Chen's smile was especially arrogant and evil. If I have the chance, I don't mind killing the Clear Sky Sage King. Luo Yao was stunned. Killing? A young man who had not even reached the true saint realm dared to kill a Sage King? Even storytellers would not dare to write such a story. Saint Kings and Battle Emperors were beings from two completely different worlds. Luo Yao could clearly feel that his battle intent was surging out. He was actually serious. Luo Yao's eyes shone with a strange light, as if she wanted to see through Lin Chen. How many secrets does he have? Chapter 1087. Was Lin Chen reckless? No, he must enter the core area of the Sacred Burial Mountain Range. After approaching the ancient battlefield, Lin Chen saw the golden attribute light pillar in the core area. He had seen it once before. The last time he saw this dazzling light was in the tomb of the ancient god, and the attribute treasure chest he obtained was the Golden War God set, Ultimate Vambrace, Right Wrist Guard. The War God Vambrace came from this. That's right, that is to say, in the Holy King's tomb, there were likely to be other parts of the Golden War God set. If he didn't do it now, when would he do it? Lin Chen had the right wrist guard that could kill saints above his level. What if he had another one? What if he could collect a full set of War God set? He didn't dare to imagine it. The importance of the Golden War God set was definitely no less than his Tai Sky concealing technique. If this Holy King still has the ability, he can just appear and suppress us directly. There's no need to play these tricks. In other words, he is greatly restricted. Otherwise, those rank 6 sects wouldn't send their top geniuses to die. Lin Chen's eyes shone with a ruthless light, as if he had nothing to lose and was not afraid of wearing shoes. If that's the case, I still have a chance. If anything were to happen, my super-dimensional teleportation and spatial coordinates would allow me to teleport to the outer circle of the mountain range in a matter of minutes. With my current speed, after teleporting, if I were to push my movement technique to the limit, leaving the outer circle of the mountain range would only take a few breaths of time. If I were to advance, I would be able to fight for a piece of the Aries set. If I were to retreat, I would be able to slip away like a yo-yo. If I don't dare to do this, Lin Shun, don't need to show my face anymore. Even if this holy king's tomb was the end of hell, he had to try. Whoosh! Whoosh! The Dragon Emperor revealed his true form and flew up with Lin Shun on his back. Lin Shun sat on the Dragon Emperor's back, and the Dragon Emperor carried him and Luo Yao. Unexpectedly, Luo Yao's injuries had recovered a little, but her strength hadn't recovered. She seemed to have lost most of her cultivation, and it seemed that she needed a special method to replenish it. This caused Lin Shun to be somewhat puzzled. Although her injuries were serious, it was not to the extent that she was unconscious like before. For some reason, she just could not stand up. Lin Shun simply continued to carry her on his back. Anyway, who would hate such a beautiful woman? Handsome Lin is very honest. Lin, am just lusting after her body. The Dragon Emperor carried the other geniuses into the depths. The geniuses were either riding on their sword lights, flying in the air, or releasing their saint artifacts. Everyone displayed their abilities and went around the mountains and valleys. Lin Shun and the group of geniuses arrived at a majestic peak that was as tall as a dragon. This mountain gorge was several tens of thousands of meters tall. The peaks of the mountains couldn't be seen on either side, and the end couldn't be seen. It was majestic and imposing, as if a divine relic was standing here. A magnificent mountain gate was built in front of the gorge, and a few large words were carved on it. Hao Yin's tomb. Only Lin Shun could see that within the tomb, a resplendent golden elemental light rose up. Lin Shun was excited. The other parts of the Aries extension were very likely to be inside. 5,409 geniuses came this time, and many of them are not bad little fellows. Very good, very good. It seems that during this period of time, our sacred boundaries human race has prospered and prospered, pushing to a new era and peak. The Taoist's voice sounded again, full of praise and gratification. It made people feel as if they were bathing in the spring breeze, and they couldn't feel any disgust. Some geniuses were so excited that their faces turned red. If they went back and let the elders and their families know that they were praised by a sage king, they would have a lot of face when they went back and bragged. Only a few geniuses were vigilant. Hearing this, Lin Shun snickered in his heart. After entering the tomb, all of you will receive a test from this king. Those who pass the test, even if you can't inherit this king's mantle, you will still be able to get a generous reward and leave unscathed. The clear sky sage king's voice was full of the feeling of giving pointers, knocking on everyone's hearts, making them feel excited. Even if you can't inherit the mantle, you can still struggle for a fortuitous encounter. Senior Sage King is really a great pioneer of our human race. This king's wealth is unimaginable for little fellows like you who haven't become a sage yet. Any one of them is enough to create a sage. Those so-called precious seeds of providence spirit plants, low-grade odd crystals, orange-grade cultivation techniques, and even orange-grade mental cultivation techniques, high-grade sacred artifacts, and alchemy handprints, all of them are available. Go ahead and pass this king's test. Let this king see the tolerance and courage of the sacred boundaries human race. The clear sky sage king's laughter ignited a fire in everyone's heart. Creak! The door of the tomb opened wide, and an ancient aura rushed out like an ancient ruin. It was ancient, quiet, and suffocating. This young master has no reason to reject the sage king's opportunity. It's only a matter of time before I enter the monster ranking. I must get the inheritance of Sir Sage King. The group of geniuses rushed in one after another, turning into afterimages like shooting stars as they rushed into the door. Even those old antiques didn't resist. This was the true sage's fate. No matter how good the sage's treasure was outside, it couldn't compare to 1/10,000th of the Sage King's treasure. Lin Shun controlled the Dragon Emperor to fly into the tomb. The moment he stepped into the tomb, his palm flickered with a faint purplish-black brilliance. There are signs of demonic aura in this tomb, and there are quite a few of them. Lin Chen's eyes flashed. Luo Yao's expression under the cloak also became strange. The tomb was extremely vast and formed a space of its own, opening up a new world. There were spatial layers here, and there were several spatial planes. It was the work of the Sage King. Lin Shun confirmed immediately. No problem, my superdimensional teleportation can still be used. Even if I enter, I can still retreat. After entering the tomb, for half an hour, more than 8,000 people arrived at the first spatial plane. This spatial plane was surrounded by mountains, and it was a huge mountain range formed by the primitive prehistoric times. The clear sky Sage King's voice echoed again. This time, there was a hint of control. This is the first test. This king's test is about to begin. You can only leave safely if you pass the test. For every test you pass, this king will give out a corresponding reward. In this first test, what you have to do is to eliminate them. Bang, bang, bang. Just as he finished speaking, dozens of beast-like auras awakened from the mountain range, shaking heaven and earth, sweeping across the wilderness. On the east side, 7 hellhounds covered in scales appeared. Every barb on their body was dozens of meters long, and their powerful limbs were as huge as giant pillars. Their mouths were spitting out hellfire. In the south, a group of WIRMS danced about chaotically. Numerous WIRMS and pythons that were rarely seen in the outside world danced about, and their ferocious bodies appeared one after another. There was an ancient heaven-devouring flood dragon covered in purplish gold scales, an ancient black devil python with 3 heads, an ancient heaven scarlet flood dragon with 4 limbs transformed into the claws of a true dragon, and an ancient golden armor python with indestructible scales. On the west side, there was an ancient ape with a huge body, a prehistoric crocodile with 4 claws on the ground, a heavenly tiger with a body like a mountain, and a nimble demon fox. On the north side, the scene was the most majestic. Many golden eagles, giant falcons, and overlords flew into the sky, as if they were going to tear the sky apart. Sacred beasts, sacred beasts. They were all sacred beasts. Many old antiques and geniuses were shocked. There were 37 sacred beasts in all 4 directions of the mountain range. Chapter 1088. The first test was to kill sacred beasts. Sacred beasts were comparable to sages. There were indeed many legendary geniuses among them, and there was no lack of people who could fight with sages who had opened one sacred point. But fighting and killing were 2 different things. Don't get too excited. The Sacred King is indeed different. He wants us to kill a group of sacred beasts the moment he attacks. Lin Shen whistled as if he was completely uninvolved and did not panic at all. Luo Yao suddenly said, "There's something wrong with these sacred beasts. Their bodies are tainted with a strong, demonic aura, and they have already lost their minds. They're just beasts that have become walking corpses. They don't have the intelligence of a Class 8 dire beast. These sacred beasts mutated after absorbing the demonic aura of some fallen primordial demons in my tomb. Although they have become Class 8 dire beasts, their intelligence is equivalent to 0. They are completely relying on their instincts to fight. But their physical strength is also genuine. Let's fight. If you can survive here, you will obtain indescribable benefits. My rewards will also be enough for you to break through the ranks of sages." The clear sky's Sacred King's voice was impassioned, and it ignited the fighting spirit of most people. "Let's do it. I'm willing to sacrifice myself to drag the Emperor down. It's not like I haven't fought with sages before. I must grab the Sacred King's opportunity. Let's fight." At this point, it's useless to play any more tricks. Attacking others will put you in a disadvantageous position. The more people there are, the higher the chance of passing the test. There are more than 8,000 people, including 3,000 old antiques and 5,000 super geniuses. Their fighting spirit soared as they rushed in all directions to surround and kill the sacred beasts. Boom! There was an earth-shattering sound from all sides of the mountain range. These sacred beasts only had brute strength, but they did not have the intelligence of sacred beasts. In just one exchange, the geniuses had temporarily gained the upper hand. Who cares? I'll steal the attributes of these sacred beasts first. Lin Chun soared into the Dragon Emperor's body, and his clone turned into a white dragon shadow and swept across the void. Luo Yao suddenly said, "These saint beasts' demonic qi has invaded their brains and cores. I will teach you a chant and hand seal. If you can remember it, you can use the demonic seal on your hand to control the demonic qi in these saint beast bodies. From there, you can control them to a certain extent." Lin Chun opened his mouth slightly. Control them? Is that even possible? Luo Yao, lips moved, and a series of cryptic chants were transmitted into Lin Chen's mind. He only had to use 4 cultivation method soul essences to memorize the chants and hand seals. Activated Godly Steel Omen, consumed 1104 intermediate talent points, stolen attribute points, for 1,000 advanced HP, 6,000 advanced HP, 150 fire energy, 100 wind energy, for 1,500 advanced HP. Lin Chen's doppelganger smoothly stole the attributes of all the saint beasts. His movement speed was among the best among all the geniuses, and it was extremely easy for him to approach the saint beasts. Lin Chun immediately aimed at a primordial black fiend python. He left Luo Yao on the Dragon Emperor's back and Little Shadow to protect him. He spread his holy phoenix wings and charged toward the black fiend python's huge body. Seeing Lin Chun charging toward it, the geniuses surrounding it changed their expressions slightly. What is he trying to do now? Be careful. This crazy Lin Chun has never done anything normal before. Don't let him get close to us so easily. All the geniuses treated Lin Chun as another saint beast and were wary of him. Lin Chun suddenly shouted, "Everyone, get out of the way." The Black Horse Club adheres to the spirit of sacrificing oneself for others. Let me fight this battle. In the past, Lin Chun had no choice. Now, I just want to be a good person. The geniuses and old antiques' mouths twitched violently. Good person? Good person, my ass. If you were a good person, all the evil people in the sacred boundary would be rewarded. Clang! Lin Chun drew his sword, and the azure moon appeared in his hand. The geniuses were frightened. They had an instinctive fear when they saw Lin Chun draw his sword. Mirror Moon Imperial God. Lin Chun slashed out with his sword, and the moonlight slash flashed across the sky. Dozens of geniuses immediately retreated. Clang! Boom! The black fiend python scales were cut by the moonlight slash, and there were faint cracks and bloodstains. It was slightly scratched, and it hissed in pain. It immediately turned its target to Lin Chun. Lin Chun's battle chi was quickly depleted, and all of it was transferred to the wheel light odd crystal in his right arm. The light was blazing. The holy phoenix wings on his back condensed into purplish-red feathers. Hiss! The black fiend python opened its bloody mouth, and a vortex of black fog condensed. It instantly spat out a terrifying black fog storm, and the poisonous fog that was corrosive enough to corrode holy chi rushed toward Lin Chun. Whoosh! 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 The holy phoenix wings flapped furiously, and the power of the wheel light odd crystal was suddenly activated. Lin Chen's figure flashed with hundreds and thousands of afterimages as he flashed continuously. The densely packed afterimages made all the geniuses' scalps tingle. Perhaps even a sage wouldn't be able to stop this speed. Swoosh! Lin Chen's afterimages appeared on top of the black fiend python's head, and he quickly formed a seal and chanted. The power of the wheel light odd crystal and the ultimate moment was Lin Chen's current speed. He flashed out of the range of the primordial black fiend python's corrosive storm attack, and it didn't even have time to react. Condense demon into spirit, Devil City seal. Condense. Lin Chun formed a seal with lightning speed, and the devil seal on his palm slammed into the black fiend python's head. Everyone was puzzled. This is a rare opportunity, and you're not hitting its vital parts but forming a seal on it? In an instant, Lin Chun had a mysterious feeling. As long as he activated the devil's seal, he could easily control the sacred beast's actions. Of course, it was impossible to control the sacred beast like how he controlled his dragon emperor to fight and use the bloodline ability wantonly. The control strength wasn't that strong, but he could still control it to hit someone. Hiss! The primordial black fiend python's violent pupils trembled a few times, and then it returned to its previous ferocity and brutality, and the scales on its body burst out with a pitch-black poisonous fog. Lin Shin had already expected this. When it launched its attack, he could also sense its intention through the devil's seal, so he easily dodged it. Good stuff. If I can control all the sacred beasts, their beast cores will be mine. I can also kill those bastards who besieged me earlier. Lin Chun was ecstatic, and then he quickly retreated and shouted, "Everyone, I'll leave it to you. This poisonous gas is too strong. I'm seriously injured." The genius's mouths twitched. "You're so shameless. Everyone saw you run to the top of the black fiend python's head to form a seal, and you're perfectly fine. Why are you injured? Forget it. Let's continue to encircle the black fiend python. Its defense is starting to be broken by us. Let's break in one go. As long as Lin Chen doesn't disturb us, we'll be thankful." One of the geniuses shouted, and everyone came back to their senses and continued to attack the black fiend python. Dazzling battle chi like fireworks and killing techniques bombarded the black fiend python's body one after another. Once it felt the pain, it rolled up its body and swept across the mountain, crushing the mountain and rolling up a hurricane. But everyone was wary of each other and only used 70% of their strength in the battle. Once they saw the black fiend python's killing intent, they retreated in advance. Under the exhaustion of the attrition battle, only 2 people died and more than 10 people were injured. In exchange, the black fiend python was heavily injured. Chapter 1089. If they were real holy beasts, the damage they caused would not be so simple. Unfortunately, these holy beasts' intelligence had been eroded by demonic chi, and they were not very intelligent. They could not even use their own bloodline abilities. This was equivalent to a holy beast that only relied on its instincts and intelligence to be around the level of a Class 4 dire beast. On the other side, Lin Shin quickly replenished his battle aura and cut into the various battlefields. He approached the holy beasts and formed seals on them, starting from their ferocious beast cores to establish a control relationship. With Lin Shin and his clone's efficiency, it was completed in just 30 minutes. All 37 holy beasts had formed seals. With just a thought from Lin Shin, he could command them to attack a target and move in a certain direction. Lin Shin looked around with a smile, looking for someone. "This time, I don't believe that I can't kill you. Zhao Tianquan, right?" Lin Shin immediately found Zhao Tianquan. He was participating in a battle against the primordial golden eagle. Primordial golden eagle, Windblade, Overlord Eagle, go. Attack him. Lin Shin activated the demonic seal and issued an order to the 2 behemoths. Chi. The 2 holy beasts trembled as if an electric current flashed through their bodies. A handsome and evil face appeared instinctively in their battle consciousness. It was Zhao Tianquan, young Master Zhao. Roar. The Overlord Eagle let out a long cry, and green wind blades appeared all over its body. It charged out of the encirclement and went straight for Zhao Tianquan. The primordial golden eagle's eyes flashed with ferocity. It flapped its feathers, and an indestructible golden light surged into golden splendor. The blood chi in its body condensed, and like a golden wind blade, it rushed toward Zhao Tianquan with a whoosh. The 2 auras were mighty and domineering. Some of the geniuses in the 2 battlefields used their movement techniques and trump cards and hurriedly retreated. Some of the geniuses' eyes were sharp, and they immediately captured the 2 holy beasts' flaws and weaknesses. Fist techniques, sword techniques, saber techniques, archery techniques, and many other ultimate killing moves were used. Bang, bang, bang. battle auras exploded, and most of the attacks hit the two holy beasts' weaknesses and wounds. However, they still did not stop advancing. Their murderous aura filled the air, stunning the geniuses. Why did these holy beasts suddenly go crazy? Inside the battlefield, Zhao Tianquan and young Master Zhao's expressions changed drastically. Why the F***ck are you coming at me? Being locked onto by the murderous intents of the two saint beasts, that feeling and satisfaction made young Master Zhao's entire body turn cold, and his hair stand on end. He was wearing a yellow cloak that contained the aura of an emperor, causing an illusory image of an emperor to appear all over his body. Above his head was a tyrannical scene of a yellow dragon pulling a plow. It was as if he was personally leading an expedition. His aura was magnificent, and his movement technique's speed increased sharply. Yellow sand filled the sky as Zhao Tianquan retreated again and again. Boom! Who would have thought that the two saint beasts would surround him from both sides? His yellow emperor's robe could augment his movement techniques and defense. Even if he faced a saint, he would have the ability to protect himself and escape. However, these two holy beasts were the immemorial golden condor and the wind blade tyrant eagle. Among the holy beasts, their speed was one of the best. He had completely chased it to death. What's going on? Dozens of yellow, sand battle chi dragons were roaming around Zhao Tianquan's body. His speed soared again and again. Clearly, he had used some special cultivation method to enhance his movement speed. His figure was extremely wretched, and he hurriedly shouted, "What are you guys still looking at? Hurry up and attack them." The geniuses came back to their senses and regrouped to launch a second wave of attacks. Because the two holy beasts had locked onto Zhao Tianquan, their attacks could be even more fluid. However, no matter how they attacked, the two holy beasts continued to chase after Zhao Tianquan. Suddenly, the immemorial golden condor was about to catch up to Zhao Tianquan. His pupils trembled, and he made up his mind to use more life-saving trump cards. Bang! A rainbow-like arrow fell like a meteor and exploded on the immemorial golden condor's head, delaying its movement for a moment and allowing Zhao Tianquan to narrowly avoid it. Thank you, Zhao Tianquan wanted to thank the person who had attacked, but he realized that it was the Black Horse Club's Lin Shun. Lin Shun immediately shouted, "Young Master Zhao, quickly run toward the Hellhound. Lure the two holy beasts over and let them crash into the Hellhound. Let them kill each other, and you'll have a chance to escape." Lin Shin's words woke Zhao Tianquan up. He clapped his hands and exclaimed, "That's right. Why didn't I think of that?" Zhao Tianquan looked at Lin Shan with a slightly grateful gaze. The latter actually gave him an encouraging thumbs up, which made Zhao Tianquan feel rather emotional. What a good person. This Prince Lin Shun is really a kind person. I didn't expect the Black Horse Club's Prince Lin Shun to be so magnanimous. I actually wanted to kill him before. How shameful. How shameful. The shameful young Master Zhao stepped on his battle aura yellow dragon and rushed to the other side of the battlefield. The two hellhounds seemed to have eaten expired aphrodisiacs. Instantly, their hostility overflowed, and they suddenly exploded. The hellhound changed its attack. It raised its dark red claws and swung them at young Master Zhao. Rolling purgatory aura erupted like a flood, pouring all of its attacks onto Zhao Tianquan, who had just rushed over. The immemorial golden condor and wind blade tyrant eagle followed closely behind, their attacks aimed at him. Zhao Tianquan was so scared that he peed his pants. In the truest sense of the word, he was scared out of his wits. Even his pants were wet. For holy beasts? For holy beasts attacking him. A war emperor? Could it be that he, Zhao Tianquan, was going to die here today? Zhao Tianquan could be said to have used all of his abilities. He frantically activated the power of the odd crystal, took turns using the secret manuals in his collection, and gulped down pills and holy healing items like eating beans. He desperately escaped. All the prodigies were shocked for a moment. Why did these savage holy beasts that had no intelligence suddenly join forces to attack Zhao Tianquan? Someone Lin put down the Azure Imperial Lightning Palace and clapped. In ancient times, there were 3 heroes fighting Lu Bu. Today, Brother Kuan has descended from the heavens and is fighting 4 holy beasts alone. I admire you, I admire you. My Black Horse Club is willing to call you the best. Following that, of the 37 holy beasts, Lin Chen continued to mobilize 19 holy beasts. The holy beasts began to focus their attacks on the prodigies who had besieged him previously. But with a clear target, it meant that the other prodigies didn't need to waste their efforts to dodge the attacks of these holy beasts. The prodigies wouldn't let go of this opportunity. The accumulated wounds on their huge bodies gradually expanded under the frenzied attacks. Their injuries were like rolling snowballs, becoming more and more tragic as time went on. In the end, 15 holy beasts were the first to enter a state of near death. A total of 9 of the 19 super prodigies who had besieged Lin Chun had fallen. These super geniuses all had extraordinary backgrounds. They either had extinct, life-saving pills, rare combat skills, or extremely good defensive saint artifacts. They had all sorts of life-saving methods. The holy beasts couldn't kill them all in a short period of time. Unless the holy beasts weren't besieged, there would be a chance to completely kill them. Lin Chun led his 2 clones to collect the small number of attribute light balls and storage rings dropped by the 9 people who had fallen. With Lin Chen's current strength and his 2 clones, it was equivalent to 3 prodigies ranked 4,000 on the genius list working together. Their cooperation was flawless. Even if there were a dozen super prodigies who wanted to take a share of the loot and snatch the storage rings of the fallen prodigies, they weren't a match for Lin Chun and his clones. Great General Lin wasn't the kind of person who would waste resources in the face of dying holy beasts. Following that, all the prodigies witnessed the most ridiculous scene of their lives. Chapter 1090. The first saint beast to be seriously injured was the ancient black fiendish python. Its agility was not as good as the ancient golden eagle, and its defense was not as good as the prehistoric giant crocodile. However, the ancient black fiendish python was one of the most lethal beasts. Even though it was not very intelligent, it still managed to seriously injure dozens of people and kill dozens of old antiques, and a super genius who was caught off guard. Let's do it. It's dying. The geniuses who were besieging the ancient black, fiendish python shouted with excitement in their eyes. After killing this big guy, they would be considered as people who had killed saint beasts before. This would be an indescribable accumulation and benefit for them when they tried to break through to the saint realm in the future. A war emperor killing a saint. Even if it was a group battle against a saint beast, it was still a historical feat in the face of the saint power. The war emperor's battle chi was always so small. In the history of the sacred boundary, there were only a handful of war emperors who were able to kill saints. The other geniuses had similar thoughts. Although the nucleus of an 8th grade vicious beast was precious, they valued the experience of besieging the saint beast more because it would become their spiritual foundation when they tried to break through to the saint realm in the future. Hiss! The ancient black fiendish python suddenly let out a hiss. Its killing intent surged violently, and a violent aura burst out from its body that was more than 600 meters long. This violent aura was mixed with a faint demonic aura, which made the faces of the geniuses change. Oh no, this big guy is going to fight back with all its might. Don't fight it head on. Retreat. The super geniuses retreated with their junior brothers and sisters. As expected, the ancient black fiendish python dashed forward with its huge body as fast as an arrow leaving the bow. None of the geniuses dared to fight it head on. Even the saints would not dare to underestimate the saint beast's final attack, let alone the 5 tribulation war emperors. Swoosh, swoosh, rumble. Wherever the primordial black, fiendish python passed, everything was destroyed. It went straight in a certain direction. Everyone retreated one after another. How could they have escaped without any injuries? When they found out that the ancient black fiendish python had locked onto its target, their expressions became very interesting. It was actually charging towards Lin Chun to kill him. Hey, the lunatics of the Black Horse Club are going to suffer. The Saint Beast counterattack is no small matter. It might even kill him. I heard that he has a fate plant pouch on him. Prepare for battle. Once he dies, we will immediately snatch his fate plant pouch. The geniuses rejoiced in his misfortune. Many of them stared at Lin Chun eagerly, ready to launch a surprise attack at any moment. A certain Lin shouted with a face full of grief and indignation. Looks like even God is jealous of my handsomeness. I don't care anymore. I'm going all out. Boom! Lin Chun unleashed the full power of the Imperial Sky technique. Wielding the second-grade Holy Spear Dark Phoenix, he stabbed out with all his might. Bang! Waves of chi exploded, rolling up a strong wind that could overturn everything. It shook the earth so much that cracks like giant pythons appeared, one after another. All the geniuses were ready to go. He was ready to strike at any moment. As the smoke slowly dissipated, the geniuses who were preparing to move out covered their eyes with battle chi to spy on the situation within the smoke. All of a sudden, their mouths gaped open as they stood rooted to the ground in shock. That primordial black, fiendish python was actually dead. Dead. And its weak spot on its head had collided with Lin Chun's spear tip's strongest point. The primordial black, fiendish python had died in Lin Chun's hands, and it had dropped a large number of vitality attribute light balls. The number and quality of the attribute light balls dropped by Saint Beast and the attribute light balls dropped after death were completely different. And the attribute light balls dropped by this Saint Beast when it died in the hands of others and Lin Chun's hands were also far from the same. This was equivalent to Lin Chun personally killing this big guy. This was a real battle emperor killing a Saint Beast. There were no restrictions, and there were a lot of attribute light balls. However, it wasn't over yet when more than 100 super geniuses and dozens of old antiques were stunned. Rumble. Another two Saint Beasts on the verge of death attacked Lin Chun. The situation was exactly the same as the primordial black fiendish pythons. The soaring aura that erupted before death shocked everyone so much that no one could stop them, and they directly pounced on Lin Chun. Lin Chun and the Jundok Shui wielded a spear and a sword, using Sword Fury Sky Piercing and Skywriting, charging, piercing runes, and split shadows talents. They instantly exploded and took turns to stab and slash with their spear and sword. Bang! 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 The two Saint Beasts collided with the tip of the spear and the sword again. Either their weak points were broken, or their major wounds were torn open. They died on the spot. Another Saint Beast, Sovereign's Descent talent, accumulated energy, 300 million points, 400 million points. Hiss. What happened? Many geniuses sucked in cold breaths, and the old antiques felt their hair stand on end. Strange. Too strange. They had never seen such a strange scene before. The doppelganger Shintoku Sho skillfully rushed to the location of each Saint Beast's dire beast core with ease. The vanishing shadow, flying dagger in his hand, swiftly slashed out, and in less than half a breath, the Saint Beast's flesh was cut open and the dire beast core inside was extracted. Before the first wave subsided, another wave arose. It was as if as long as the Black Horse Club existed, everything in the world would become extremely unreasonable. Everyone present had witnessed a scene that they would never forget for the rest of their lives. Rumble. Rumble. The earth trembled, and the space shook. The air collapsed and disintegrated, and a series of explosions sounded. 3 heads, 5 heads, 7 heads, 10 heads. In the end, everyone's vision was blocked by the huge bodies of the Saint Beasts. Countless Saint Beasts all pounced on Lin Chun. These Saint Beasts were all on the verge of death. Whoosh, whoosh. The orange light sword flashed again and again, and the golden aura flashed again and again like a golden stream of light in the dark night. Bang, bang, bang. The earth trembled, and all the heavily injured Saint Beasts began to fall to the ground and die. The ground was crushed, and the Saint Beast's corpses were piled up like mountains. Lin Shen's Dragon Emperor was like a lone dragon flying alone, constantly collecting a sea of vitality attribute light balls and a large number of orange crystal treasure chests. That's right, it was really a sea of vitality attribute light balls. This was Lin Shen's first time seeing blood-red attribute light balls flying all over the sky. It was like a blood-red ocean, all of which were high-level vitality attribute light balls. All the prodigies were stunned. All the Saint Beasts that were heavily injured charged in the opposite direction of Lin Shen, allowing him to slaughter them as he pleased. Anyone who dared to stop him would suffer the wrath of the Saint Beasts that were about to die. Even if they didn't die, they would be crippled. Lin Shen and Jundok Shuai were like hell's executioners, mercilessly killing the charging Saint Beasts again and again. Looking at the mountain of Saint Beasts' corpses, all the prodigies trembled and were dumbfounded. These Saint Beasts were completely committing suicide. It was as if they were going to die in the hands of the Black Horse Club. Anyone who dared to stop him would be injured or even killed by the Saint Beast's final counterattack. This scene was too strange. It was so strange that no one could say anything. The Black Horse Club's Battle Emperor was killing Saint Beasts like he was killing chickens. Before anyone could react, the flying daggers in Shintoku Sho's hands danced in the air like precise and elegant butterflies. With a flash, flesh and blood were split open, and dire beast cores were sucked away. The prodigies were stunned. Skillful. Too skillful. Shintoku Sho's technique of harvesting dire beast cores was like a flower thief climbing over a wall or a duck king undressing. He was too damn skillful. Why are you so skillful? We were here first. In the end, the 37 Saint Beasts fell into a pool of blood. Lin Shen let out a deep breath and stood on the mountain of Saint Beasts' corpses, scolding them deeply. You Saint Beasts have lived for so many years. Why are you still trying to scam me? Don't you know that I'm most afraid of scams? If there's a next life, remember to be a good beast. Don't scam me. I'm very annoyed. My hands are numb from killing you scammers. I'm really tired. In the future, don't come to me for such boring things. Silence. A strange silence. Who would have thought that one day they would meet a young battle emperor who said, "My hands are numb from killing Saint Beasts"? After a while, one of the prodigies squeezed out a sentence from between his teeth. Is that even human language? Lin Shen said, "Good kids shouldn't learn to scam people." Chapter 1091. The Dragon Emperor's body flew through the air, and wherever it passed, it had a magnet effect, sucking in all the attribute light orbs. Obtain 130,000 high-grade health, 100,000 high-grade health, 190,000 high-grade health, 90,000 high-grade health, 110,000 high-grade health, 150,000 high-grade health. Open 31 orange crystal chests. Obtained 3,500 mid-grade talent points, 1,000 mid-grade heavenly path points, 2 million strengthening points, 1,500 high-grade spirit, 2,850 high-grade rune energy. In the past, the number of high-grade attribute light orbs that Lin Shen had obtained was in the thousands, and the most he had obtained was the few thousand dropped by the fallen sages in the ancient battlefield. However, the fall of the sages was not caused by Lin Shen, and the number of attribute light orbs dropped was also limited. But this time, the genuine holy beasts had all died in Lin Shen's hands, and the number of attribute light orbs that had been dropped was estimated to be more than 100,000. His attribute value soared to the limit, and the rate of increase was so fast that the 3 clones that were fusing the cultivation memories had to simultaneously absorb a large amount of chi energy. As for Lin Shen's Dragon Emperor, it was refining the chi energy that surged like a raging sea. The chi energy was like a burning dragon, shuttling back and forth in its dragon vein, attacking the 10 millionth dragon vein. The dragon meridian had been letting out rumbling noises, shaking violently, as if the mountains were collapsing and the earth was splitting apart. It kept glowing with blue-gold light. Whoosh! A vortex appeared, and the Dragon Emperor's refining efficiency increased by almost 100 times. The 10 millionth dragon Vane's vibrations became even more intense. If not for the 1,000 Mammoth Devour ability, the Dragon Emperor might have really exploded this time. Lin Shun put away the 37 class 8 Dire Beast cores with a clear conscience. Although these Dire Beast cores were tainted with demonic chi and could not be used normally, Lin Shin's demonic seal could easily absorb the demonic chi inside and return it to its original form. This time, with 37 class 8 vicious beast cores and a sea of high-grade blood essence. Even if Lin Shun could not break through to the tempered sage realm, at the very least his Dragon Emperor's advancement into a holy dragon was a fact. The geniuses weren't ordinary people, and some of them immediately came back to their senses. They recalled that during the previous battle, the Black Horse Club's people had barged into the battle circle and tried their best to get close to the sacred beasts. Could it be that? First of all, no matter how stupid a holy beast was, it wouldn't commit suicide, right? If they wanted to commit suicide, why did they all choose Lin Shun? Why did the people of the Black Horse Club spend so much effort to get close to the holy beast, but they did not fight? More and more geniuses began to realize that there must be a problem. There was definitely a problem. The more Zhao Tianquan thought about it, the more he felt that something was amiss. There was even the smell of urine under his pants. In the end, he flew into a rage and roared while stomping his feet. F***CK. Why did you suddenly change your personality? You even helped me lure the primordial golden condor to the 2 holy beasts. You were the one who was playing tricks on me. Fuck you, Lin Shun. Zhao Tianquan's words awakened all the geniuses. Many of the geniuses looked at Lin Ming, who had a harmless face and was smiling brightly like the sun. No wonder he helped Zhao Tianquan just now. It seemed that he wanted him to die faster. Drama queen, he was definitely a drama queen. His acting just now was too King good. This guy was a good person? Good my ass. This kid was a cunning old fox. Sinister, too sinister. This young master was completely fooled by him. F***CK. We've been fooled. This kid is using us as tools. This kid is only in his early 20s. Isn't he a F***king 200,000-year-old monster? He's too F***king sinister. They were furious. More than 5,000 geniuses and 2,000 old antiques were all furious. If it was a normal holy beast with the strength of its shell, even if it stood there and let the Black Horse Club beat it up, it would take them a long time to kill it, right? Why did they wait until they were on the verge of death to suddenly charge at Lin Shun? It was very obvious that Lin Shun was using everyone present as tools. Everyone had been fooled by him. He had been reduced to his employee from head to toe. Under everyone's watchful eyes, Mr. Lin's face was not red, and his heart was not beating fast. Everyone, you really can't blame me for this, right? You've all seen it. These holy beasts are clearly here to take advantage of me. My people were just defending themselves. You really can't blame me for this. Bullsh***. That Zhundishio beside you was so skillful in harvesting class 8 Dire Beast cores that he looked like a 10,000-year-old pervert sneaking into a beautiful woman's room. His movements were as smooth as flowing water. You call this self-defense? Hearing Lin Chen's words, everyone was so angry that their teeth were about to shatter. Luo Yao suddenly said, I'm really puzzled. How did you survive until now without being beaten to death? Lin Shun, maybe it's because I'm handsome. Boom. 9 super geniuses ranked in the top 5,000 suddenly turned their attacks and targeted Lin Shun. Snap. Lin Shen's eyes were sharp and his hands were fast. He snapped his fingers first. Host has activated intermediate blue tier sure kill skills. Thousand Flame Storm, Meteorite Sandstorm, Golden Radiance Rain. Each sure kill skill is applicable to 3 targets, beginning to lock on target and bombard. Whoosh. Boom. An intense fire cloud tornado, a golden cloud, and a yellow cloud of sand and dust suddenly exploded above the 9 people's heads, rolling down a flaming hurricane. The fire borrowed the strength of the wind, and the wind increased the intensity of the fire. Golden fragments of light poured down, suddenly enveloping the three people. What's this? Something's not right. We can't escape from these things. Quick, defend. The bird that pokes its head out gets shot. The 9 geniuses hurriedly used their life-saving methods to defend themselves. The aura of the sure kill skills spread out, intimidating everyone and forcing them to retreat to the side. Intermediate blue-tier sure kill skills were suitable for saints with 1 to 3 holy points open. Its power was enough to force these super geniuses to defend themselves. What a powerful energy attack. It can't be avoided. What kind of secret technique is this? I remember now. It said that Lin Shun was chased by more than 10 Saint Realm experts and was able to escape successfully. It said that he used an extremely strange attack that couldn't be avoided. Damn it, isn't this a rumor? It's actually true? The geniuses were shocked. This kind of attack was comparable to a saint's attack, and it couldn't be avoided? Isn't this breaking the rules? The corner of Lin Chen's mouth twitched. Who else wants to come up? I don't have any good points. Other than being handsome, I have some special skills, and I'm very good at self-defense. Stop bluffing. I don't believe you can use this kind of attack more than a few times. There were also some ferocious geniuses who didn't fall for Lin Chen's trick. Together with a dozen old antiques, they surrounded Lin Shun from the side and swarmed him. There were another 18 super geniuses and 17 combat emperor antiques. Lin Shun snapped his fingers again, and the remaining 8 intermediate blue-tier sure-kill skills and 6 advanced blue-tier sure-kill skills were all released. Rumble. In an instant, the wind and clouds changed and energy poured out. The aura of the sure-kill skills enveloped everyone who charged at Lin Shun. When the geniuses saw the might of the advanced blue-tier sure-kill skills, their expressions changed drastically. He actually had an even stronger trump card. He even had a way to threaten second Heaven True Saints. When the second wave of geniuses were blasted to the brink of death by the sure-kill skill, their mournful screams pulled everyone back from their anger and reason. Come on, let's see if there are any brave warriors who aren't afraid of death. Lin Shun shouted loudly, his attitude extremely arrogant. Chapter 1092. Lin Shun appeared to be arrogant, but in his heart, he was thinking, don't let more boorish people come. Damn it, if another group comes, I'll only have 2 high-grade blue-rank sure-kill moves left. Looking at the whole scene, Lin Chen's strength was without a doubt, but no matter how strong he was, he would not be able to withstand the siege of so many people. Lin Shun had to use his strongest move to deter them. Lin Chen's preemptive strike had indeed deterred thousands of people. However, his gaze was still fixed on Yin Wuxia and the other geniuses. The top 5,000 geniuses had life-saving moves that could withstand the attacks of Saint Realm experts, but they had not yet reached the level where they could challenge saints. The ones Lin Shun needed to be wary of were Yin Wuxia and Fei Anqing, the top 2,000 monster-level geniuses. This group of geniuses were the real monsters. They were said to be comparable to the monster-level geniuses from millions of years ago. They were terrifyingly strong and could fight against saints. Lin Shun sensed that there were close to 100 of these monster-level geniuses here, and he did not rule out the possibility that there might be some hidden ones. Once they surrounded him, Lin Shun would have to use all his trump cards. The handsome Yin Wuxia whistled and said, this brat played all of us. Fei Anqing glanced at him. What? Do you want to go up and kill him? Yin Wuxia smiled. I'm not interested. The key is whether Miss Qingsheng is interested or not. She is the strongest person here. Fei Anqing frowned, seeming to mind the word strongest very much. He looked at Jian Qingsheng, who had a cold face. Jian Qingsheng had a slender figure, and her waist was slender. She wore a bright red robe and carried a 3-foot-long sword. Her face was beautiful enough to cause the downfall of a country. This person is really good. However, if it weren't for him, those Saint Beasts would have killed more of us. Looking at the overall situation, he saved the lives of some weaklings who should not have entered the tomb. After saying that, Jian Qingsheng glanced at the people in a certain area. Everyone who met his gaze felt the fear of having a sword against their necks. A cute junior sister standing next to Yin Wuxia asked curiously, "Senior brother, is Jian Qingsheng really as powerful as you say he is? She can't even enter the top 5,000. Yin Wuxia clicked his tongue in amazement. He's not just powerful, he's a freak. She is an invincible monster among the women of the same generation in the sword domain. The last time she drew her sword, the Sun Moon Empress, ranked 1,310th on the genius ranking, couldn't even withstand her second sword strike. If that battle had been a life and death battle, her ranking would have been changed long ago. So powerful. Little junior sister was surprised. Yin Wuxia's eyes suddenly flickered with light. The world is so unreasonable. Although they are both fifth tribulation combat emperors, the top 40,000 geniuses in the genius ranking can easily crush ordinary combat emperors of the same level. As for the top 10,000 geniuses, they are terrifyingly strong. Even so, no one can cross that line. Only the top 2,000 geniuses in the genius ranking are able to fight with saints. The top 1,000 geniuses in the genius ranking have all become saints. But let me tell you, even these geniuses may not be able to suppress Jian Qingsheng. After saying that, his handsome face still had some lingering fear. He said word by word, "As far as I know, Jian Qingsheng could have become a saint long ago. With her accumulation, she could have reached the saint realm long ago. But she is accumulating the last bit of mental toughness to reach the pinnacle of sword Dao and perfectly become a saint. Once she draws her sword, the clouds in all directions will move, and she can destroy the mountain sea prison with a single strike." So terrifying? Little junior sister was shocked. For a mortal to become a saint, it was an opportunity that could only be encountered by chance. To be able to encounter it once was to defy the heavens and change one's fate. How could Jian Qingsheng choose the moment to become a saint? As strong as the top 10,000 geniuses in the genius ranking, they could not become a saint just because they wanted to. They still had to be well prepared. Only the top 2,000 geniuses in the genius ranking could break through to the saint realm at any time and had a higher chance of success. However, they were still sharpening their mental toughness and pursuing the best state to break through to the saint realm. TSK. Another 7 super geniuses fell under the ultimate skill. Shintoka Sho skillfully collected their attribute light balls and storage rings. Because when they were fighting the sacred battle beast, they had expended a lot of energy to save their lives. After being bombarded by Lin Chen's ultimate skill, they finally could not withstand it and died on the spot. Seeing this, the geniuses' mouths twitched. No one dared to make a fuss. At this moment, a majestic voice sounded again. "Little guys, well done. Looks like something unexpected happened this time. Ha ha ha. But it doesn't matter. This king likes surprises. The more you can exceed this king's expectations, the happier this king will be. Next, after receiving your rewards, you can proceed to the second stage." Just as Clear Sky Saint King's voice fell, a stream of light fell from the sky with a whoosh. The streams of light were like raindrops that covered the sky and earth. It was beautiful and dazzling. When the geniuses took a closer look, they realized that these raindrops were the size of longan lychees. They were all divine elixirs. Lin Chun sucked in a cold breath. He had robbed the 9-color rainbow bridge alone and had only obtained slightly more than 50 divine elixirs. There were more than a few thousand divine elixirs here. It was more than 10,000 divine elixirs. The lowest grade divine elixir was a first-grade divine elixir, and it was sold for at least 10 million Saint Origin coins. This was because the difficulty of refining and the required materials were too high. Even ordinary sages could not afford to use divine elixirs. There were more than 10,000 divine elixirs. This was a F**king astronomical figure. The foundation of a sage king was simply heaven-defying. Ordinary people could not even imagine it. It was too terrifying. Those who passed will each receive 1 divine elixir. Those who performed well will receive 2. Yes, these divine elixirs have been distributed. Don't try to snatch others' divine elixirs. Otherwise, I will personally kill those who break the rules. Clear Sky Sage King said indifferently. Everyone cheered for the Sage King. As for Lin Shun, he had obtained 6 first-grade divine elixirs and 1 second-grade divine elixir. There were 9 grades of divine elixirs. A second-grade divine elixir was several times more valuable than a first-grade divine elixir. Even with Lin Shin's current alchemy skills, the probability of him refining a second-grade divine elixir was not more than 20%. The moment Lin Shun received the divine elixir, he was shocked. There is something wrong with these divine elixirs. The core of the divine elixir has a trace of demonic chi will. Luo Yao suddenly said. It seems like his ambition is not dead yet. He planted his power of faith in these divine elixirs using the demonic clan's methods. After consuming it, it might not be immediately activated. However, as long as he wills it, the person who consumes the divine elixir will immediately become his believer. Even if he dies, he will not hesitate. Lin Chen narrowed his eyes. No wonder he is so willing. This Sage King is playing a big game of chess. At this time, Clear Sky's Sage King's voice sounded again. Next is the second round of the assessment. You can choose to leave or continue to advance. Next is the cycle of life and death. There are only 500 people who can advance to the third round. Once you participate, your life and death will be determined by the winner. As soon as he said that, the faces of the geniuses changed slightly. The second round was a life and death battle. Only 500 people. However, Lin Chen's face was uglier than all the other geniuses. A chill and goosebumps rose from the bottom of Lin Chen's heart. He thought of an extremely terrifying possibility. Chapter 1093. If you want to participate in the life and death cycle, send your battle chi into the Jade token. If you want to withdraw, you can go directly to the Tomb Space Vortex. As the Clear Sky Saint King spoke, a silver-white space vortex rose up in the tomb, and a space channel extended out from a several hundred-foot wide space crack. At the same time, numerous blue jade tokens fell from the sky, and the choice was in everyone's hands. The Saint King's opportunity is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If I don't even dare to risk my life, then I don't need to live anymore. I, Yi Aolu, have walked out from the endless wilderness and killed countless powerhouses. How can I miss this opportunity? The Saint King's inheritance should belong to me. Many proud super geniuses chose to participate in the life and death cycle. They sent a wisp of battle chi into the Jade token, causing it to shine brightly. There were also some old antiques who chose to leave safely. This time, they entered the sacred burial mountain range. Some had snatched a saint corpse's body, some had snatched a part of a saint treasure, and some had obtained a saint pill. Some were not confident in their own combat strength, but their harvest was enough. There were also many super geniuses who chose to leave. When fighting the saint beasts, everyone had used a lot of life-saving methods. If they continued to fight, they would only become a stepping stone for others. It was best to quit while they were ahead. Some old monsters also did not plan to let go of the Saint King's opportunity. They resolutely chose to participate in the battle. For a time, there were only 3,000 people left in the tomb. There were still more than 300 people who had not made a decision. When everyone made their choice, only Lin Chen suddenly turned his head and looked directly at Luo Yao. He asked word by word, "If you want to do it, can you also control me?" Luo Yao's face was hidden in the cloak, so Lin Chen could not see her expression. Lin Chen could use the demonic seal and hand seals that Luo Yao had left him to control the saint beasts that were contaminated with demonic energy. Then what about Lin Chen, who held the demonic seal? This demonic seal was given to him by Luo Yao. He actually did not have absolute control over it. What if Luo Yao controlled him like he controlled the saint beasts? The demon eye in 9 provinces the sky-devouring mirror on Rainbow Island, and the demonic seal that had absorbed so much demonic energy. Could he really suppress them? Lin Shan took a deep breath. Even now, you still want to take me away? Luo Yao said coldly, my goal is very simple. If I can't take it away, I will destroy it. I will pull out any seeds that might threaten my demon cultivator clan in advance. Changing the topic, Luo Yao's tone suddenly became somewhat gentle. There's another choice. You can take the initiative to come with me. Since you don't care about the grudges in this world, why don't you come with me? If you can come to the demon race, I will give you enough status and opportunities to become my right-hand man. Whether it's the 9th layer Saint Realm, 9th Revolution Saint Realm, or Saint King Realm, you'll have the opportunity to step into them. Lin Shan suddenly laughed. Then come and get rid of me now. I will not follow anyone. Luo Yao was silent. The two of them didn't talk for a while. However, Lin Shan and his clones, Jundok Shui and Shintoka Shou, also chose to participate in the battle. A total of 3,700 people chose to participate in the battle. Over 3,000 of them were ranked on the genius ranking. Everyone's heart was either nervous, uneasy, or excited. This life and death battle would definitely be a big event that would shake the entire genius ranking. It would leave a strong mark in the history of the sacred boundary. These 3,000 geniuses were all ranked between 1,001 to 10,000 on the genius ranking. Every one of them was at least from a rank 5 sect. Not long after, only 500 of these geniuses would be left. Over 2,000 of them would die. In the ancient records of the 36 domains, there were only a few major events that had happened. Without a doubt, this Sage King inheritance would be a turning point in history. Some of the more daring ones chose to stay and witness history. They didn't leave, nor did they participate in the battle. What was rare was that the Clear Sky Sage King seemed to ignore these people. Very good, those who stay are the elites. Let's begin. The rewards for the last 500 people will definitely be extremely generous. The Clear Sky Sage King laughed loudly. Whoosh! Rumble! At this moment, the ground in the devastated mountain range cracked open. Dragon platforms that looked like giant islands rose into the sky. There were 300 dragon platforms, and they looked majestic. They had their own space enchantment, and it covered a wide area. It was more than enough for a stage 1 sage to fight. A new number has appeared on your Jade tokens. Go up the stage according to the number. If there is an odd number, there will be a bye. Those who get a bye will automatically advance to the next round. This life and death battle will depend on your own abilities. You can use all your means. As long as you can survive, you can do whatever it takes. I look forward to more surprises among you. Ha ha ha. When the Clear Sky Sage King finished laughing, Lin Shan's and his avatar's Jade tokens lit up. His number was 1459. Jundok Shui, 1299. Shintoka Shou, 1088. The geniuses and veteran experts who received their numbers were filled with battle intent and began to go up the stage. Looks like my avatars and I are the last batch to go up. We still have time to prepare. Lin Shan found a mountain peak and sat down cross-legged. At this moment, Luo Yao had already entered a state of cultivation. Her injuries had recovered by 30%, and her strength had recovered slightly. She could move freely now. Lin Shan opened the system. Heavenly Tao Possession System version 6.0 Host. Lin Shan. Cultivation. 5th Tribulation Combat Emperor. Peak of 5th Tribulation. High-grade essence. 34. 55 million points limit strength. 99. 99 million dragon power. Half-body transformed into Saint Physique. High-grade blood essence. 98. 16 million points high-grade spirit attribute. 19,455 points. Half-step sage. High-grade cultivation technique essence. 8,977 points. High-grade rune energy. 26,851 points. Mid-grade heavenly Tao points. 19,660 points. Mid-grade talent points. 31,889 points. Blank attribute. 6. 9 million points. Strengthening points. 18. 74 million points. High-grade elemental energy. 12,204 points for fire. 11,150 points for earth. 10,200 points for wood. 10,366 points for metal. 10,488 points for water. 10,100 points for lightning. 10,410 points for wind. 69,666 points for light. 7,880 points for darkness. Cultivation technique status column, open or not. Bloodline status column, open or not. Passive talent column. Green rank, dual cultivation acacia. Purple rank, assault. Purple rank, turquoise orange rank. Super chaos, orange rank. Extreme god possession fragment. February 4th, active talent column. Purple rank, steel omen. Purple rank, fatal bloodthirst. Purple rank, super dimensional teleportation. Purple rank, ultimate moment. Purple rank, ultimate return. Purple rank, sovereigns. Descent, quasi-orange rank, absolute life and death. Orange rank, flashlight split shadows. One-time orange rank. Heaven-defying, one-half fragment. Killing technique column, open or not. Characteristic rune column, open or not. Talent combination technique, open or not. Lin Shen's cultivation was not much different from most of the super geniuses. When he first refined the wheel odd crystal, his strength was around 4,000 on the genius list, and his clone could fight against the top 5,000 geniuses. Now that all his elemental attribute values and cultivation had increased, Lin Shen tried to arm wrestle with the top 3,000 geniuses. But the main thing was Lin Shen's body. His high-grade vitality had skyrocketed by 90 million points because of the large number of saint beasts he had slaughtered. It was more than 10 times the original amount. This attribute value caused his physical body to undergo an astonishing transformation. Chapter 1094. Inside Lin Shen's upper body, there were faint roars of dragons and tigers, as if there were several ancient beasts sealed inside his body. And the flesh of his upper body was like a mountain and sea prison. Every time his blood surged, it was like a raging wave in the ocean. Every bone was shining with an extreme golden light, and when his body moved, it was like the world was shaking. For example, when Lin Shen looked inside his body, he even felt like he was looking at a small world. The same 99 million dragon power, but my pure strength and lethality are 10 times more than when I just entered the sacred burial mountain range. If my whole body transforms into this state, I'm afraid I'll become a true saint of body refining, a saint body. At that time, the lethality of a complete saint body will not only be 10 times more than now, but at least 10 times or even 100 times more. Lin Shen was excited. In fact, killing 37 sacred beasts with his own hands gave him more than 90 million blood points. Most of Lin Shen's high-grade blood points were transferred to the Dragon Emperor. If the Dragon Emperor absorbed the blood points, it would not appear in Lin Shen's high-grade blood points column. It was not that Lin Shen did not want to become a saint, but the situation at that time did not allow it, and there was no time for him to break through to the saint body realm. His 3 doppelgangers mainly merged with the cultivation memories of the Tai Sky concealing technique, and the Shintoka Sho and the Jundok Shui needed to participate in the battle at all times. Under such circumstances, he had no time to refine the massive amount of high-grade blood points alone, and the other geniuses would not give him the chance, so he could only leave it to the Dragon Emperor. But Lin Shen still had a backup plan. Becoming a saint is not far away from me. Lin Shen took out an 8th-grade embryonic pill. This pill burned with blood flames, like a blazing small sun in his hand. Lin Shen formed a seal with both hands and placed this embryonic pill in the center of the seal. With a mysterious seal, he began to absorb this embryonic pill into his body. This was the supreme-grade embryonic pill that Lin Shen had obtained from the Rainbow Island, the Blood Flame Sacred Dragon Pill. This embryonic pill was extremely close to becoming a 1st-grade sacred pill. Lin Shan wasn't sure if he could absorb the real holy pill. If he couldn't, it might hurt his meridians and flesh. Therefore, embryonic pills were the best choice. Under Lin Shan's pill-nurturing hand seal, the blood flame holy dragon fledgling pill transformed into a streak of light that merged into his dantian. Lin Shan used Cloud Sky Pill Sage's pill-nurturing technique to fuse the pill into his body. At that time, Lin Shan's flesh and blood would fuse together with the pellet, using his body to nourish the pellet. When the pellet became a saint-grade pellet, it would be the day when Lin Shan's body became a saint. Lin Shan concentrated on fusing the embryonic pill into his dantian while his two clones protected him. On the south side of the Sacred Burial Mountain Range, in the direction of the southern region. The Sacred Burial Mountain Range was the intersection point of the Flame region, Yellow region, and Southern region. Therefore, many experts were paying attention to the mountain range's situation this time. A few young fellows have already fallen. It seems like the Sage King's opportunity isn't that simple. In the void, a group of white-robed old men stood on the clouds. One of them stroked his beard and smiled. Haha, it's fine. What we couldn't do back then, we'll leave it to our young disciples to complete. They're now comparable to the monsters on the demon genius list who hadn't become saints back then. Whoosh! Another group of flowing lights flashed and crossed the void. A group of powerful auras appeared in the void and stood together with a group of sages who were chasing after Luo Yao. One of them, a burly man in golden armor, said solemnly, "Yes, we've confirmed it after returning to the headquarters. That woman is at least 70% similar to that person back then. Even if she isn't, there's a great relationship between them." As soon as he said this, the sage's expressions became particularly solemn. 70% similar. It was hard for them to forget the battle in the holy purgatory. How terrifying was that female devil dweller's beauty. One person and one saber. She slaughtered the all-heavens experts in the holy world, causing them to tremble in fear. As sages who were in charge of stopping the criminals from escaping the holy prison, they could feel how powerful she was even from far away. Even when the gods attacked, they only managed to severely injure her and didn't manage to capture her. That was the only blemish on the history of the holy prison. It doesn't matter if she's her or not. We'd rather kill the wrong person than let her go. If those young fellows can't capture her, we'll take the risk and enter the Sage King's tomb. The golden-armored man's eyes turned cold. The sage's expressions were solemn. The tragedy back then could not be repeated. The number of sages gathered at the south side of the Sacred Burial Mountain Range had already surpassed the Heaven List Assembly. Since it was related to the Sage King's inheritance, many sages were participating, and this was only the sages from the southern region. The sages from the Flame region and Yellow region were not included. Country Lord Fu Shang was surprised. This is the Sacred Burial Mountain Range. I'm afraid this is the largest mountain range outside of the Savage region. Beside him were two Saint Country elders and two beautiful women with worried expressions. They were Yu Qingli and Yu Yulan. It said that a Sage King fell here in the past in a fierce battle with the demon race. He was revered by later generations. Poison Saint Yu brought his granddaughter, Sun Yuer, to narrate the origin and story of this mountain range. The Heavenly Ghost Divination Palace's patriarch smiled. "Haha, Your Excellency Poison Saint, history can never be trusted. The real history is only in the hands of few people." "Patriarch, why do you say that?" Mo Qing asked. The patriarch's eyes flashed with wisdom as he said meaningfully, "Whether this Sage King fought with the demon race or not, we have no way of knowing. But according to the rare records of our Heavenly Ghost Divination Palace, there was a Sage King of the human race who was very close to the demon race. Their relationship was very ambiguous. The country lord and the others' faces changed slightly. They no longer talked about this topic. I wonder how young Master Jundok Shuai and the others are doing. Their opponents this time are the top 10,000 geniuses of the genius list. Sun Yuer clasped her hands together with a praying expression. Yu Qingli suddenly smiled. Little sister Yuer, you seem to be very worried about him? Sun Yuer hurriedly waved her hands. No, it's just that young Master Jundak Shuai has helped me a lot on Rainbow Island. The girl's thoughts were seen through by everyone present. Yu Yulan held Sun Yuer's hand and smiled gently. Little sister Yuer, I understand your feelings. Don't worry, young Master Jundak Shuai and the others are very smart and have many tricks up their sleeves. They will definitely be safe. Poison Saint Yu sighed softly. Her granddaughter was born with a special background and had a lot on her mind. Originally, she was worried that her granddaughter wouldn't be able to find someone she liked. Although she had found one now, this little guy just had to be the holy son-in-law of Fu Saint Nation. You are this little guy you like, even I can't move him. He's too outstanding. Poison Saint Yu sighed in her heart. Rumble. A loud sound came from the south side of the mountain range. At this time, the innumerable Green Palace Elder, sitting on the green ox, Elder Ao Qing, suddenly opened his eyes. Someone is coming out. As soon as his voice fell, streaks of figures shuttled back and forth, quickly retreating from the mountain range. Some returned to their own sect elders, family elders, or their own factions. Ning Qingxuan's beautiful eyes narrowed as she tried to find Lin Shun and the others in the first group of people leaving the sacred burial mountain range. But she didn't find them for a long time. Chapter 1095. Elder, may I ask what's going on inside? Country Lord Fu Sheng asked the two old battle emperors politely. Seeing that Country Lord Fu Sheng's attitude was decent, the two old men replied casually. The Sage King inheritance has appeared, but the first test is already extremely terrifying. We have to kill the Saint Beasts, and we know that we don't have the strength to continue. Those who left were the first batch to leave. The other old man said, speaking of which, it's all because of that Black Horse Club. That Lin Shun, Jundak Shuai, and Shintoku Sho killed a bunch of Saint Beasts. The two old men explained the situation in a simple manner, and everyone's expression changed. Not only Country Lord Fu Sheng and the others, but even the leaders of the various factions gathered here were all shocked. The Black Horse Club's Lin Chin destroyed all the Saint Beasts remains by himself. The Black Horse Club's people even fought with Yin Wuxia, Fei Anqing, and the other monster-level geniuses. Are you sure you didn't see wrong? The Black Horse Club's people killed 37 Saint Beasts? Aren't these kids battle emperors? Battle emperors killing saints? Ridiculous. That's absurd. Many of the saints were shocked to the point of dizziness. Their faces were filled with disbelief, and their mouths were wide open. Are these young people from the Black Horse Club going to turn the world upside down? Everything that happened in the Sacred Burial Mountain Range was getting more and more ridiculous. Battle emperors killing saints? And they killed 37 Saint Beasts in a row. The most important thing about the saints of the Southern Mountain Range was that everyone's answer was the same. Yu Qingli and the other two girls were both happy and worried. This Black Horse Club was a little too crazy. Everywhere he went, everything he experienced could be said to be shocking enough to make ghosts and gods weep. Ning Qingxuan's elegant and refined face revealed a bitter smile. You always exceed everyone's expectations. Am I not going to be able to catch up to you again? Sacred Burial Mountain, inside the tomb. This pill nurturing technique is truly miraculous. For Senior Cloud Vault Pill Sage to be able to create such a consummate skill, he must have been at least a 4th grade sage alchemist when he was alive, or even higher. Lin Shin suddenly opened his eyes and clicked his tongue in wonder. The blood flame sacred dragon pellet had been completely fused with him, and he was using his body to nourish the pellet. When the saint pellet was completed, it would be the day when his body became a saint. Lin Shin looked around. After the first round of selection, after 2 days and 2 nights of life and death battles, there were still over 1,500 people left. It could be said to be a tragic battle. The items and storage rings of the deceased would be taken away by the victors, and the victors would also reap great rewards. There were even cases where some old antiques encountered top-notch super prodigies, and both sides had fought to the point of mutual destruction. The two clones, Shintoku Sho and Jundok Shuai, respectively, encountered an old antique and a super genius. Fortunately, their strength and agility were suppressed, and they safely passed the first round. Following that, Lin Chen's jade tablet lit up. It was his turn to go out. He leaped into the air and landed on the platform, attracting the attention of many people. It's finally that kid's turn. He has so many trump cards. I wonder who his opponent will be. The only ones who could defeat him are probably the guys ranked in the top 3,000. The prodigies all had grave expressions. Most of them wished that Lin Shan would die as soon as possible. This kid had used everyone as a tool in the first round, and no one was willing to submit to him. As if in response to everyone's expectations, a pair of black wings suddenly flapped, and layers of black lightning flashed as it swept onto the dragon platform. Everyone focused their eyes, and their expressions changed slightly. It's Fei Anqing of the Southern Territory. Ha ha, that kid is dead for sure. Fei Anqing patted the dust off his shoulders and smiled casually. I'm from the Black Horse Club, and I've been wanting to meet you guys for a long time. You really did cause a lot of trouble on the Rainbow Island of the Southern Territory. Lin Chen raised his eyebrows. This is a battle of life and death, and you're still so calm? Fei Anqing was cold and confident. Because the person who survives will definitely be me. Rip. What responded to him was Lin Chen's vanishing shadow triple combo. The three flying daggers were like snowflakes, and they enveloped Fei Anqing in three directions. The people outside the dragon platform didn't even have time to react. Fei Anqing's dark claws swept past, and his 5 fingers grabbed Lin Chen's flying daggers, shattering them on the spot. The faces of all the prodigies changed slightly. Lin Chen's vanishing shadow flying daggers were extremely fast, and even the top 5,000 prodigies felt a fatal pressure. Fei Anqing actually shattered them with a single claw. After shattering the vanishing shadow flying daggers, Fei Anqing grinned. Your flying dagger technique is good, but it's useless against me. Great dark heaven covering palm. Fei Anqing's palm shot out a black halo, and it was completely dark as it swept towards Lin Chen's direction. The black halo released a terrifying pressure, as if thousands of mountains were pressing down. Lin Chen's body was involuntarily suppressed by the black halo, and he couldn't move. It's one of Fei Anqing's 3 great skills, heaven covering palm. Fei Anqing is going to use his full strength to deal with him. All the prodigies looked dignified. This palm was enough to instantly kill a 5th Tribulation Combat Emperor. Not many people under the Saint Realm could take it head-on. Boom! A gray talisman exploded in the air, and the black halo's pressure suddenly decreased, and the space around it froze. Oh! Fei Anqing was surprised. The pressure on Lin Chen suddenly decreased. The sacred phoenix wings flapped, and the dragons flashed like the tide, flashing behind Fei Anqing. Then, he swung his spear diagonally, and a golden rainbow covered the world. Buzz! Instant light clone was activated, and the Imperial Sky Spear light split into 5, and a golden light enveloped the entire platform. Fei Anqing's black wings flapped behind him, and a blade as black as the abyss flew out to kill. The black blade exploded, and the golden light shattered. The purple, red, and black wings flapped at the same time, and both sides closed in on each other. Lin Chen held the Dark Phoenix spear and aimed it at Fei Anqing's neck. Fei Anqing flipped his Saint Claw and grabbed the spear tip to stab Lin Chen's face. Lin Chen didn't advance, and instead retreated. His fist flickered with the Golden Tribulation profound handle, and 7 different kinds of strength erupted from it. It was as if this was a fist that could decide life and death. Bang! The fist and claw collided, and the dragon platform shook. The explosive airflow was like a chaotic hurricane. Fei Anqing looked at Lin Shan with an astonished expression. This brat was actually able to use pure strength to receive his claw attack head-on without any defense. His flesh shell was as strong as an ancient beast's. Fei Anqing once again lashed out with his claw, wanting to tear Lin Chun to pieces. However, Lin Chen's Dark Phoenix spear swept across the air, blocking the claw. At the same time, Lin Chen's right leg lashed out, the Seven Extinction Strike, sweeping out like a dragon, repelling Fei Anqing. Fei Anqing was repelled, and his strength erupted. His claw tore out a dark light like a dragon, baring its fangs and claws as it rushed towards Lin Chun. Qi. The imperial sky metal qi that flowed around Lin Chen's body was crushed, and Lin Chun was forced back, blood flowing from the corners of his mouth. Fei Anqing casually wiped the blood from his nose and sneered, holding a second grade Saint artifact. "I'd like to see how long you can maintain this momentum." "Oh, I'm a member of the Black Horse Club. I don't have any strong points, but I can last longer and like to attack from behind." "It seems like you want to have a good taste today." Lin Chin smiled coquettishly. Both of them were confident in themselves. Both sides stood still, and the entire audience held their breaths. They couldn't move their eyes away. This was simply a life and death duel between the top 2,000 monster-level geniuses. The two of them could be said to be evenly matched. Chapter 1096. Swoosh. The two of them used their movement techniques and turned into two streams of light, one dark and the other light. They collided with each other and instantly engaged in a chaotic battle. The two of them fought from the sky to the edge of the arena. Every time they collided, it was as if a comet had crashed into the continent. It was earth-shattering. Rumble. An earth-shattering sound spread out from the dragon arena. The spatial barrier above the arena was constantly emitting energy ripples. This was the most intense and terrifying battle among the many dragon arenas. Lin Chen's advantage in movement skills was coincidentally restrained by Fei Anqing's full-powered dark battle chi. In addition, Fei Anqing's movement skills were also top-notch, making it impossible for Lin Chen to suppress Fei Anqing with his movement skills. After using the 8 transformations, Lin Chen's cultivation was not inferior to those monster-level geniuses who had been in the Fifth Tribulation Realm for more than 100 years. Although Lin Chen had the ultimate moment, Fei Anqing's innate talent was extraordinary. He was born with the phaseless Darkstar body and had a 5th-grade Saint bloodline. Therefore, the power of his dark combat techniques was several times stronger than that of ordinary people. Lin Chen's combat techniques were enhanced by the enhanced skill. In addition, his flesh shell was almost as strong as a Saint body. This was why he was able to fight against Fei Anqing for so long. Rip! A tearing sound was heard. Lin Chen's arm was torn open. Just as Fei Anqing said, it was too difficult for him to use the 2nd-grade Saint Spear, Dark Phoenix, as a 5th Tribulation Battle Emperor. Swoosh! Lin Chen was still calm. With a flash of his hands, he swapped the bow for the spear. With the Heavenly Azure Imperial Lightning bow in his hand, he used his movement technique to increase the distance between him and Fei Anqing. Fei Anqing followed up with a victorious look. He sneered and said, "What's wrong? Didn't you say it would last for a long time? Are you going to retreat after 100 rounds?" Lin Chen smiled evilly. "Don't worry, I'll let you enjoy it." Lin Chen raised his left hand and snapped his fingers. Pop! All of a sudden, Fei Anqing's consciousness sank. The battle chi and blood in his body seemed to be controlled by an invisible force. They suddenly became extremely disordered and boiled like boiling water. "What is this? What did this brat do to me? Why didn't I notice it?" Fei Anqing was shocked. Even his right leg and left arm felt as if they were not under his control. Not only was he unable to exert any strength, his blood and chi surged until his skin turned red, as if it would explode at any moment. The target has triggered the Super Chaos talent 7 times in total, all activated. Lin Chen chuckled. The reason he had fought with Fei Anqing for so long was to trigger this Super Chaos state and give him a big gift. For an expert at his level, activating Super Chaos once wouldn't affect the battle situation. It just so happened that this passive talent was special. After activating it, the timing of activating it could be decided by Lin Chen. Now is the time. Enjoy the feeling of being shot. Lin Chen burst into laughter as he drew his bow. The dragon-like battle chi of light calamity condensed on Lin Chen's fingertips as he pulled the bowstring. Then, 3 light arrows were shot out. Suppress him. Fei Anqing's dark attribute battle chi rolled up from the top of his head and bathed his entire body. As his battle chi erupted, he actually managed to suppress many of the chaotic locations within his body. However, the arrows with faint rainbows were already in front of him. Dark Night Cloak. Fei Anqing waved his hand, and a dark cloak rolled up to cover his body. Boom! The arrows hit the cloak and caused an explosion. However, they did not hurt Fei Anqing. The 30% penetrative power caused his blood and chi to surge. Super Chaos talent has been triggered once. Host can use it at any time. The moment the system screen popped up, Fei Anqing stomped his foot. With him as the center, dark attribute battle chi surged out and formed a vortex that tried to suck Lin Chen in. Lin Chen laughed loudly as he flapped his holy phoenix wings and retreated rapidly. His eyes were sharp and his hands were fast as he drew his bow and shot arrows at Fei Anqing's back. In the blink of an eye, Lin Chen was the one suppressing Fei Anqing. Passive talents triggered. Assault, Super Chaos. The system screen popped up again. Lin Chen was in a good mood. Huh, awesome. It's been a long time since I've shot arrows so happily. Seeing Lin Chen's arrows hitting Fei Anqing's anus again and laughing so happily, many male geniuses felt a chill down their spines. Pervert. Absolute pervert. Who the F***CK would shoot a man's anus during a battle? And you're still laughing so happily? You're simply insane. F***CK. I don't want to meet anyone from the Black Horse Club in my life. The enemies I've encountered so far are not even 1/10,000th of this Lin Chen's pervert. The male geniuses felt a chill run down their spines. Encountering an opponent who would stare at you while you were fighting, was that something a human would do? A dark storm appeared above Fei Anqing's head as he prepared a huge killing move. Consume 300 rune energy to activate Slow Rune. Whoosh! A grayish-white rune fell from the sky and suppressed the dark storm. Lin Chen gathered power and drew his bow, activating 2 runes. Feather of Auspicious Light. The rainbow-colored arrow pierced through the sky and split into 5. Its momentum was earth-shattering, causing the faces of all the geniuses to change. Another orange-tier combat skill. What kind of background does the Black Horse Club have? From Jundok Shuai's swordsmanship to Shintoku Sho's swordsmanship and spear skills, they're all orange-tier battle skills. Another orange-tier archery technique? The Black Horse Club has used 4. No, including his swordsmanship that sent the sage's corpse flying, there are a total of 5 orange-tier battle skills. Oh my god, when did orange-tier battle skills become cabbages? The super geniuses' eyes almost fell out of their sockets. Just from the battle skills used by the Black Horse Club, there were actually more than 5 orange-tier battle skills. Whoosh! Bang! The rainbow-colored arrow shattered the dark storm above Fei Anqing's head. Fei Anqing tasted something sweet in his throat as blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. Not good. I'm going to be exhausted to death by that kid. My body is constantly in this strange state of chaos. He still has this unique skill that can freeze space, which can weaken the power of my attacks. I can't drag this out any longer. Fei Anqing immediately swallowed a few pills and his battle chi surged. All the battle chi was channeled to the dark odd crystal in his heart. Rumble. Fei Anqing broke through the super chaos state, and a pair of black wings spread out. His entire body was covered in darkness as he stepped into the air. Lin Chen narrowed his eyes, starting to use the power of the odd crystal. But you're not the only one with an odd crystal. Fei Anqing was continuously triggered by Lin Chen's super chaos state. There was no end to it, and he chose to fight head-on with Lin Chen. The power of the odd crystal was activated. Not only did Fei Anqing break through the super chaos state, his dark battle chi continued to spread and rise like endless darkness, enveloping the entire dragon terrace. Whoa! Lin Shen's right arm overflowed with a white halo as his battle chi was continuously channeled into the wheel light odd crystal. Fei Anqing sneered. Your odd crystal is of the light attribute, and mine is of the dark attribute. Since ancient times, light and dark have been opposing each other. It seems that one of us is destined to die. This is the arrangement of the heavens. Chapter 1097. Fei Anqing's arms surged with dark energy and condensed on his black claws. The condition of his arm wasn't optimistic either. A battle emperor had to pay a price for using a sacred weapon. Is that so? I feel that the combination of light and darkness is the most suitable result. There are no natural opposites in this world. It all depends on who is in control. Lin Shun changed her blade this time. The blade of the Azure Moon was infused with the battle chi of the light wheel odd crystal and water calamity light. It was as bright as a mirror and as bright as the moon. Let's discuss this at the end of hell. Blood Abyss Crying Claw. Fei Anqing's eyes were filled with dark energy as he condensed battle chi in his hand and slashed out with his claw. At this moment, Lin Shen's eyes flashed as he thought, Super Chaos, activate. Wong. The violent battle chi in Fei Anqing's body suddenly collided chaotically, causing his meridians to crack a little. This caused the power of his claw to weaken by 30%. Damn it, this strange chaotic state is still in my body. Fei Anqing cursed in his heart. This strange scene was only noticed by the monster-level geniuses ranked within the top 2,000. Jin Qingcheng said indifferently, It seems that this Lin Shun still has a trick up his sleeve. Fei Anqing might not be his opponent. This attack was ready to be unleashed. If he didn't unleash it, he would be the one suffering the backlash. He could only use force. Billowing dark battle chi gushed out from Fei Anqing's claws like dancing dark flood dragons, transforming into a black claw that was over 1,000 feet long as it clawed toward Chun Fan. Even if the power was reduced by 30%, this attack still exceeded the limits of a battle emperor and was comparable to an attack from a sage. There was no doubt that this was Fei Anqing's orange rank technique. This was his trump card, and coupled with the power of the odd crystal, it could be said to be far beyond the battle emperor domain. Even a sage who had opened a sacred point would have to take it seriously. Wherever the dark claw passed, thunder would rumble and distort the space as it smashed towards Fei Anqing. Shua consumed 500 points of high-grade rune energy to activate the level 6 slowing rune. A grayish-white talisman froze the surrounding space for a moment before shattering. Lin Shen's slowing talisman was unable to intercept Fei Anqing's attack. However, it had weakened the power of his Weeping Abyss Blood Claw by another 10%. This was Lin Shen's true intention. You're the one who died. Mirror Moon Imperial God. Lin Shen laughed heartily as he continued to activate Ultimate Restoration. Both of his hands suddenly swung his saber diagonally, and the tip of the saber erupted with moonlight that was as bright as the moon. It transformed into a slashing light that was as fast as the gods splitting the heavens. Buzz! The moonlight trembled, and the moonlight slash split into 5, domineeringly chopping down on the dark claw. Rip! Bang! 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 Dark claws exploded in the sky, emitting faint moonlight and dark battle chi, exploding continuously. An energy storm, one bright and one dark, enveloped the dragon platform. However, the two moonlight slashes tore through the energy storm and flashed toward the direction of Fei Darkstar. What? Fei Darkstar was shocked. His figure retreated rapidly, and the dark night cloak opened up layers of darkness to block Lin Shen's 2 slashes. Tearing innate skill triggered. Enemy's defense has been torn apart. On the system screen, a faint moonlight instantly split open the darkness and suddenly bombarded Fei Darkstar's chest. Chi! Crack! A cracking sound came from the soft armor in front of his chest. His holy armor had actually cracked. The 30% penetration power penetrated his body, and Fey Darkstar spat out a large amount of dark red blood. It's not over yet. Lin Chen's eyes were filled with killing intent. He pushed out with one hand, and another slowing rune appeared. This time, he used a total of 800 points of rune energy to seal the injured Fey Darkstar, causing his battle chi to become sluggish and his movements to slow down temporarily. Lin Chen then swapped out his weapon for his bow, and he drew the bow and shot arrows that filled the sky, constantly bombarding Fey Darkstar's body. Like a storm, the arrows shot out again and again. Lin Chen's current pure strength was far more powerful than before. Therefore, his arrows were much more powerful than before. Additionally, his light calamity battle chi had skyrocketed. Therefore, he could shoot out hundreds of arrows in one breath. Fatal Bloodthirst innate skill activated. Passive innate skill activated. Tearing, assault. Passive innate skill activated. Super chaos. Bang! Fey Darkstar didn't even have time to scream before he was shot into pieces by Lin Chen. His body exploded, and the sky was filled with broken shadows. The geniuses outside the arena were dumbfounded. Lin Chen won. He exploded. Fey Darkstar was shot to pieces by Lin Chen. Too savage, he actually used several offensive sacred weapons and orange rank combat skills, but he didn't use a single defensive sacred weapon. Fey Darkstar, a peerless genius of the southern region who was comparable to a saint and was at the bottom of the monster list thousands of years ago, actually ended up in such a miserable state. Originally, Fey Darkstar could have held on for a longer time. He had a variety of life-saving sacred weapons, and even if his first killer move failed, he could still regroup. This was because without the strength of a saint, it was impossible to easily take the life of a genius like Fey Darkstar. Lin Chen's many passive innate skills were activated one after another. Fey Darkstar's movements were sealed. He was in a state of confusion, and he had used the power of the odd crystal, which causes battle chi to be severely depleted. The combination of multiple factors caused his battle strength to be greatly reduced. Under Lin Chen's crazy attacks, the sacred armor he was wearing was also shattered by Lin Chen's tearing innate skill, and he had no chance to resist at all. Lin Chen's fighting style was completely aimed at his weakness, taking advantage of his weakness and attacking while he was down. When he was at his weakest, he would launch the most violent attack. Looking at the entire scene, Fey Darkstar's strength was enough to rank in the top 50. If he didn't encounter Lin Chen or some of the other geniuses in the top 2,000, he would definitely pass this level. This guy is really difficult to deal with. If I didn't obtain a new quasi-orange rank innate skill, I would really have to use more moves to deal with him. I might even have to use a killing move or use a few thousand rune energy points to kill him. Lin Chen exhaled. The effect of his slowing rune could only be used during a sneak attack to obtain the best effect. Under the premise that the opponent predicted and was on guard, the slowing rune didn't have much effect on a Saint Realm expert or an expert comparable to a Saint Realm expert. Regardless of whether it was the saint he had defeated outside the Ice Heart Palace or the fourth heaven true Saint Realm expert from the Vast Sky Palace, Lin Chen's delaying rune was only effective when his opponent was caught off guard. When the enemy was on guard, the effect of the slowing rune would be greatly reduced, and the accumulated power will be able to break through the restriction in one go. In this situation, if he wanted to seal the opponent for a longer time, he would have to consume more rune energy points. I wonder how my super chaos innate skill will affect a saint. Lin Chen pondered and collected his thoughts. As soon as Fei Tianxing died, the dark attribute odd crystals in his body exploded along with his body, scattering attribute light orbs all over the ground. Lin Chen took all of them and kept the hundreds of attribute light orbs and the 3 orange crystal treasure chests. Received 400 points of dark attribute energy, 199 points of high-grade health, 381 points of dark attribute energy, 100 talent points, 95 points of rune energy, 10,000 strengthening points. Opened 3 orange crystal treasure chests. Received 800,000 strengthening points, 800 points of high-grade cultivation technique essence. Chapter 1098. Unfortunately, after refining a complete low-grade odd crystal, all the energy will belong to the host. Even if I kill the other party, the odd crystal will only shatter. Unless I have the cultivation of Saint Level 4 and can absolutely crush Fei Tianxing, I will be able to extract his bloodline, battle chi, and odd crystal. Otherwise, it will be impossible to preserve the odd crystal. Lin Chun lamented in his heart. After refining the low-grade odd crystal, the odd crystal and battle chi would become one. If the host dies, the odd crystal will be destroyed. Even if the host is killed, it would be impossible to obtain the odd crystal. Fortunately, Lin Chun had the attribute collection system and obtained high-quality advanced dark attribute light balls this time. He couldn't obtain a complete odd crystal, but at least he obtained 20,800 points of dark attribute energy. Lin Chen's advanced dark attribute energy had reached 28,680 points. It was second only to the light calamity battle body. Lin Chen took away Fei Tianxing's broken sacred weapon and storage ring. Lin Chen easily opened the storage ring. In the next moment, Lin Chen's expression was ecstatic. There is actually a complete low-grade dark attribute odd crystal in Fei Tianxing's storage ring. I've struck gold this time. Perhaps Fei Tianxing wanted to refine this low-grade dark attribute odd crystal after stepping into the Saint Realm. If he could control two dark attribute odd crystals at the same time, he would definitely be far stronger than a saint of the same level. But he didn't expect Lin Chun to benefit from it. Lin Chun licked his lips excitedly. Although I can't obtain a complete odd crystal by killing those geniuses with odd crystals, if I can kill those super geniuses who have refined a complete odd crystal, I can obtain a large number of attribute light balls. This battle was worth it. Lin Chen looked at the top 5,000 super geniuses. Among these guys, the higher-ranked ones had refined low-grade odd crystals, and there were quite a few of them. Those who were swept by Lin Chen's gaze felt a chill. A very small number of 2,000 geniuses remembered Lin Chen's moves and trump cards. If they were to meet Lin Chun in the next round, it would undoubtedly be a fight to the death for them. Only Jian Qingcheng remained calm from the beginning to the end. He even frowned a little, as if he was disappointed in Lin Chen's combat capability. Lin Chun was ranked at the bottom of the list. After killing Fei Tianxing, his ranking suddenly rose to 1910. Ranked 1910 on the genius rankings, God descended. Lin Chun. The cycle of life and death continued. After the first round of battles, everyone's jade tablets lit up, and they received a new number. They were not allowed to rest at all. If they had followed the order of the first round, they would have had time to rest. However, the rankings were completely random. Lin Chen's doppelganger, Zhendok Shui, drew number 76 and was the first to fight. His opponent was a ruthless old antique. The Shintoku Show drew number 66, and they were also in the first batch. Their opponent was a genius ranked 5,800, so they had a higher chance of winning. Lin Chen himself was even more dramatic. His jade tablet showed number 13, and he was also in the first batch. Lin Chun, who jumped directly onto the dragon platform according to his ranking, landed. When he looked at his opponent, Lin Chen almost laughed out loud. His opponent was actually Zhao Tianquan, who was ranked over 4,000. Young Master Zhao. Zhao Tianquan was dumbfounded. Why the hell did I draw this god of plague? Ha ha ha! Young Master Zhao. Oh, well, Young Master Zhao, I didn't have time to deal with you before, but we actually met in the cycle of life and death. Lin Chen laughed heartily as he rolled up his sleeves and walked towards Zhao Tianquan. With a mischievous smile, he said, "Don't worry, Young Master Zhao. I definitely won't hold it against you for ambushing me. After all, I'm a good person, right? It's just at the moment you step onto the stage, life and death will be determined." Zhao Tianquan gritted his teeth. It's still not certain who will win. Lin Chun sighed in his heart. Thank you, Young Master Zhao, for the low-grade odd crystal and advanced earth attribute. I'll gladly accept it. Outside the sacred burial mountain range, the various forces obtain more information. What? You said that the woman from the demon race is being protected by Lin Shun of the Black Horse Club. This kid actually dares to protect that demoness. Is he going to be an enemy of the human race of the sacred boundary? Courting death. The saints with the strongest auras in the void were furious. Ha ha! Suddenly, the space trembled and a tyrannical mocking laughter reverberated in the void. It actually caused the space to distort and the clouds to shatter. Some of the saints with low cultivation bases were shaken until their eardrums hurt. Some of the saints who couldn't protect their Fifth Tribulation Combat Emperors in time, and dozens of Fifth Tribulation Combat Emperors were actually shattered by the loud laughter on the spot. The saints of the various forces were shocked and furious. Who the hell was this person who dared to release his aura to harm their people? Ao Qing quickly released a holy light barrier that enveloped everyone and prevented them from being harmed. Interesting. Lin Shun of the Black Horse Club. If you come out today, I'll let you die with rhythm. Everyone looked in the direction of the voice and saw a handsome young man with an arrogant face slowly walking out of the void tens of thousands of feet high. His cold eyes were as sharp as knives, and his facial features were picturesque. There was a red between his eyebrows, and he carried a 3-foot-long red sword without a scabbard. He wore a snow-white robe and crossed his arms in front of his chest. His entire body shone brightly, and the holy light behind him turned into a rotating roulette of sword light that resembled a crescent moon. The young man's eyebrows were filled with arrogance and disdain for all living beings in the world. The expressions of the saints who were chasing after Luo Yao changed slightly. The monster on the demon genius list of the Jew God sect. He's known as the Sword of the Jew God, the one who can split open the sky with a single sword strike. The Sword Saint Genius of the Jew God sect. He actually came here. Is he here for Lin Shun of the Black Horse Club? Is there any conflict between them? The situation is getting more and more chaotic. Even the Sword Saint of the Demon Genius list is here. The various forces were shocked and horrified. The forces who had lost their men and horses earlier were angry, but didn't dare to say anything. Every single one of the shocking geniuses on the Monstrous Geniuses roll had an extremely powerful background. They were not people that the forces present could easily offend. Not to mention the death of a few battle emperors. Even if a few saints died, no one would dare to question the people on the Demon Genius list. Look, the Demon Genius list is changing again. Someone from the various forces exclaimed in shock. The Demon Genius list flashed with golden light, and a golden light shot up. The names of the geniuses on the Demon Genius list were like a disaster. The super geniuses who had become legends in the 36 domains began to fall in the hundreds. It made everyone's hair stand on end. The Sage King's inheritance could really make people go crazy. Among the changing names, there was a golden light that was especially obvious. It rose from the 10,000 to the thousands. The Black Horse Club, God Descending, Lin Shun, Demon Genius list, rank 1910. Everyone's expressions were especially interesting. Received 134 Advanced Earth Energy, 99 Intermediate Talent Points, 225 Advanced Earth Energy, 100 Advanced Rune Energy, 90 Spiritual Power. Opened 2 Orange Crystal Treasure Chests. Received 300 Earth Energy, 200 Spiritual Power. Lin Shun used less than half a quarter of an hour to kill Zhao Tianquan and destroy the Earth-type odd crystal on his body. After that, Lin Shun obtained a total of 22,700 Advanced Earth Energy points. His attribute points rose again, and his Advanced Earth Energy points broke through the 33,000 threshold. After another day and 2 nights, the second round of the Samsara of Life and Death competition was even more intense. There were only over 700 geniuses left and 91 old antiques. They were all ruthless characters. Cruel. An extremely cruel selection. Chapter 1099. In just 1 day and 2 nights, many of the top geniuses in the sacred boundary had died. It was equivalent to hundreds of sages dying in the future. But those who survived, no matter if it was their foundation, battle experience, or talent, they were all experts among the geniuses. Yes, many geniuses have appeared in this reincarnation competition, and it's finally the third round. Since there are less than 900 people in the third round, there will be less than 500 people in the competition. Therefore, there will be some empty slots. Those who draw empty slots will be able to pass the second round and obtain the rewards to advance to the third round. Those who draw 2 oughts will be given an empty slot. Clear Skies Sage King's voice made everyone's blood boil. There was actually an empty slot. As long as they drew empty slots, they wouldn't have to go through the life and death battle. Whoosh! A stream of light entered everyone's jade token. Everyone looked at it, and some were happy, while others were sad. I've gotten an empty slot. Ha ha ha. A super genius who was ranked in the top 5,000 shouted excitedly. What was surprising was that Lin Chen's Shintoku Sho and Jundok Shuai's doppelganger were given an empty slot. They directly passed the second round. There was also Yin Wuxia, the ghost-masked gray-robed man who tried to assassinate Lin Shun, and the cold-looking man who noticed the innate shadow art when he just entered the mountain range. They were all given an empty slot. Those who got an empty slot were the minority, and Lin Shun activated his purple golden eyes to see the numbers on most of the people's jade tokens. Those who got an empty slot were mostly people with great potential. Even if they weren't the top geniuses, they were still the youngest ones. As for those old antiques, none of them got an empty slot. Seems like this Clear Sky Sage King isn't stupid. He is planning to select his target. Then, I should also get one. Lin Chen's jade token wasn't 00. It was 01. He was the first one to fight in the third round of the life and death battle. This Clear Sky Sage King doesn't plan to target me? Or does he have other plans? Lin Chun had different thoughts in his mind. He then calmed himself down and said, "Forget it. No matter who my opponent is, I still have to fight." Lin Chen jumped and entered the dragon stage. When everyone saw that he was number 1, they couldn't help but feel curious. Who would be Lin Chen's opponent? A bright red robe fluttered through the air, and the sharp sword aura shocked all the swordsmen present, causing their swords to hum as if they were about to break out of their sheaths and fly towards a certain direction. The eyes of the monster-level geniuses in the top 2,000 trembled. Even Lin Chun had an unprecedentedly solemn expression on his face, as if he was facing a great enemy. The woman standing in front of him was Jian Qingsheng. He was the strongest genius of the sword domain's current generation, and he was invincible under the Sword Saint realm. He was said to be a peerless monster who could kill a saint and become a saint when he drew his sword. Everyone was stunned. Was Lin Shun and Jian Qingsheng the first battle of the third round, a life and death battle? Oh my God, Lin Shun and Jian Qingsheng are fighting. This woman is extraordinarily strong. She's no longer at the level where she could fight against a saint for a few dozen rounds. She's one of the few war emperors who could truly fight against a saint. Lin Shun is bound to lose. This woman is invincible among her peers in the sword domain, Jian Qingsheng, the heavenly fairy. In the second round, Lu Wanlei, who was ranked 4,740th, couldn't even withstand one of her attacks. This woman isn't a fifth tribulation war emperor at all. She's infinitely close to a saint. Some of the geniuses who were called monsters swallowed their saliva. This battle was so eye-catching that they couldn't take their eyes off it. Jian Qingsheng's talent was so high that the ancient saints had commented on it. This woman had the potential to be ranked in the current generation's demon genius list. She was able to remain calm in the face of the temptation of becoming a saint, and only pursued the pinnacle of Sword Dao. Almost no one was optimistic about Lin Chen's chances. Everyone's focus was on whether Lin Chen could force Jian Qingsheng to draw out her supreme sword. I didn't expect that I would have to fight with you in the end. However, as long as you haven't become a saint, my chances will never be 0. Lin Chen smiled casually. After killing Fei Onxing and Zhao Tianquan, Lin Chen's elemental attributes had increased by tens of thousands of points. The power of the 9 tribulation stars had also increased. He he might not necessarily be Jian Qingqing's opponent. Jian Qingqing said indifferently, I've searched many places for an opponent who can draw out her sword, but I can't find one. If you can force me to draw my sword, I'll be very happy. I know that your level is not as simple as it seems. Show me your true strength. Rumble. Jian Qingqing's body was shining with colorful lights. She was like a fairy from outer space. Her eyebrows were picturesque, but they were brewing a sharp light that could split heaven and earth. Crack, crack, crack. The dragon platform, which could withstand the attack of a first-layer saint, was shattered by Jian Qingqing's sharp light. It's different from the time when she and Yin Wuxie besieged me. She's circulating her mental cultivation method. This kind of pressure is not like the orange mental cultivation method that other geniuses have only cultivated part of. It's definitely a complete orange mental cultivation method. Lin Shun gritted his teeth and circulated his strongest light calamity battle form to withstand the pressure. His whole body was flowing with Imperial Gung Metal Chi, with the support of a plus 15 half-orange gray defensive combat technique. Lin Chen's complexion became slightly better. Lin Chun, don't let me down. The beauty raised her slender finger and drew a line gracefully. Rip! The sound of air being torn apart could be heard. The thin sword marks streaked across the void. Lin Chen's eightfold transformation and ultimate moment instantly covered his whole body. He unleashed his battle aura and used Dragon Flash to dodge to the side. Whoosh! Just as he dodged the sword light, the Imperial Gung Metal Chi, flowing on the surface of Lin Chen's body, cracked like paper. It almost cut his kidney. Lin Chen's scalp went numb. What a ridiculous sword aura! It condenses battle aura to the extreme and increases its speed to the extreme. There's nothing fancy about it, only extreme sharpness. Lin Shun took out the Azure Imperial Lightning Sacred Bow and quickly drew the bow. The stage was instantly filled with arrow light and murderous intent. The trajectory of the arrow light was unpredictable. It was either shooting straight like a meteor or slithering like a dragon or a snake. Its sharpness was hidden, and its energy was overflowing. Some of the arrow light was shot out and split into 5. The momentum was so fast that it made many geniuses look serious. However, when the arrow light approached Jian Qingqing, it was shrouded by a layer of invisible sword aura and shattered. Lin Chen's expression changed slightly. His lucky feather, at full power, couldn't even get close to her. There seemed to be a layer of invisible sword aura around her. Any attack that got close would be shattered. In the battle on planet Fei, Jian Qingqing couldn't see through many of Lin Chen's moves, but she understood them. Some of Lin Chen's special secret techniques could only be used after hitting the enemy. For example, the confusing techniques and the secret techniques that could tear defense could only be used when they were focused on the enemy. Therefore, Jian Qingqing directly used offense as defense. All the attacks were shattered before they got close. Lin Chen's talent was sealed tightly. There was nothing he could do. Chapter 1100. Good reaction. Jian Qingqing said lightly. Her slender fingers moved like ripples, and countless sword marks as thin as gossamer drifted in the void like rays of light. Lin Shun immediately raised his spiritual touch to the highest level. His purple-golden eyes were fully opened, and he frantically flapped his sacred phoenix wings. He used Dragon Flash to dodge her sword chi. Rumble. The seemingly calm sword marks were dodged by Lin Shun. When they crashed into the spatial enchantment of the dragon platform, the earth shook like a falling meteor. It was a shocking sight. When Lin Shun could not dodge, he could only draw his bow and shoot back. When the arrow light and sword chi collided, the airflow was as sharp as a blade. Lin Shun was suppressed in one move. Just dodging and blocking Jian Qingqing's attacks took all of Lin Chen's strength. It's natural for him to be suppressed. Looks like even that crafty Lin Shun is at his wit's end. This is an absolute suppression of strength. If it were me, I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to last more than 10 rounds. Lin Shun is still alive and kicking. He's really strong. His body movement is indeed very strong, but if this continues, he'll be exhausted to death. Such a powerful body movement must consume a lot of energy. Now it's time to see if Lin Shun can make an undodgeable attack like before. Only an unavoidable attack that can threaten a saint can tie down an existence like Jian Qingqing. All the geniuses held their breaths. Yin Wuxia's junior sister covered her eyes with her hands. She was so shocked that she was in a daze. This is what senior brother meant by the strongest. It's really unbelievable. Lin Shun seized the opportunity and flashed behind Jian Qingqing. In an instant, he summoned the Azure Moon and raised his hand to attack with a Mirror Moon Imperial God and Instant Light Division Shadow. Unexpectedly, Jian Qingqing clawed back with 5 fingers, and the sword chi of demon and god destruction seeped out. He actually crushed Lin Shun's 5 moonlight slashes. The faint sword chi was like a sharp saw. It penetrated the Mirror Moon Imperial God and headed toward Lin Shun. Clang! Lin Shun slashed vertically with his saber, but his arm went numb from the aftershock of the sword chi. The saber almost slipped out of his hand, and he couldn't help but be shocked. His pure strength was not what it used to be. After taking on the remaining power of Jian Qingqing's palm, he almost lost his grip on his saber. I don't believe that you can guard all the flaws. My movement technique is above yours. There will always be a breakthrough. Lin Shun retreated once again. He put away the Azure Moon and switched to the sky-raising sword. His body flickered continuously, and the azure energy of annihilation burst out from between his eyebrows. Lin Shun unleashed an annihilation at Jian Qingqing's head. The spiritual attack split into 5 parts, destroying everything in its path. Whoosh! Lin Shun flashed to Jian Qingqing's side. Annihilation was just a cover. His intention was the next move. Lin Shun raised his sword and slashed out furiously. He used Sword Fury Raises the Heavens again and slashed horizontally at her blind spot. His fury was augmented by his Light Calamity Battle aura. An orange and white sword rainbow slashed out horizontally and split into 5. Rip! Bang! With a swift wave of her hand, a tornado-like sword aura storm swallowed Lin Shun's attack. The spiritual storm and the orange sword rainbow shattered at the same time. Lin Shun was caught off guard. He was swept into the air by the storm. The sword aura shattered all his defenses, and blood splattered everywhere. He spat out mouthfuls of blood. With a sweep of the sword aura, Lin Shun split the storm. The white light of the dragon shadow flashed, and he retreated to the edge of the dragon platform. He was panting and sweating profusely. When a person targets the enemy's weaknesses and flaws, their actions will become monotonous. They will only think about attacking the flaws, and they will lack flexibility and battle tactics. Jian Qingqing's slender figure was like a willow. Her bright red hair was tied up, and her red robe fluttered in the wind. Suddenly, she revealed a smile that was devastatingly beautiful, like a flower. Lin Shun, how many flaws do you think I have? This fairy-like smile stunned all the geniuses. This was a beauty that was powerful to the extreme. It made people admire and yearn for it, but they stopped in their tracks and felt despair. Any flaw that Lin Shun could see would be used by her to lure Lin Shun into attacking, and would become a point of attack for her to gain the upper hand. Her beautiful smile wasn't a question to Lin Shun. Instead, she was telling him a fact. She, Jian Qingqing, had no flaws. What a terrifying woman. She's completely different from the soft-footed geniuses I've fought in the past. Her cultivation technique, skills, talent, ability, experience, and state of mind are all far beyond the so-called monster-level geniuses. This is a true monster. This is the true #1 empress below the saints. Today, it won't be that easy for me, Lin Shun, to walk out of this dragon platform alive. If he couldn't attack Jian Qingqing, he wouldn't be able to trigger this super chaos state. He had to break this situation. Clang! Lin Shun stabbed the mighty sky sword into the ground, took a deep breath, and opened his palms. All of Lin Chen's battle chi began to be transferred to the light wheel odd crystal. At the same time, his nine tribulation source was also rapidly reduced to the lowest limit that he could bear. Even so, Lin Chen's face was still pale. Swish! Wong! Wong! Nine-colored starlight revolved in the center of Lin Chen's palms, spinning like a roulette. Like a galaxy of stars, it was gorgeous, beautiful, and dazzling. Under the dazzling beauty, it emitted a destructive wave that caused everyone's expression to change. Finally, a trace of seriousness appeared on Jian Qingqing's face as he smiled. You're finally willing to use your full strength. Lin Chen's face was pale as he laughed wildly. I've never tried using this move before. It's enough for you. Lin Chen was going to use the Nine Tribulation Star twice at once. This was the first time he used the strongest killing move after being able to use the Nine Tribulations Star twice a day. This was the ultimate trump card that he could use at this stage. Just maintaining the energy to condense the Nine Tribulation source was already the limit. If even this move didn't work, he could only use his killing move or the Sovereign's Descent that he had been accumulating for a long time. Above the thick miasma, within the four ancient arrays, a distorted shadow transformed into a human form and laughed sinisterly. Very good. These two young people have very high aptitudes. As my perfect substitute, only one is enough. The other followers only need to infiltrate the sect. The collision between geniuses will give birth to even more top-notch monsters. Let this king see who will be fortunate enough to become this king's perfect substitute and become the only king of both the human and demon paths. Ha ha ha. The human-shaped shadow's laughter was extremely cold. It didn't know that a pair of demon eyes had opened silently above him, watching his every move. Under everyone's watchful eyes, Lin Chun threw the nine-colored star in his palms at Jian Qingqing. This time, the two waves of the Nine Tribulation Star were integrated with the power of the light wheel odd crystal. Consume 201 points of advanced rune energy to activate level 6 charging penetration rune. Increase power limit 80%. Can exert penetration by 5%. Consume 298 intermediate talent points to activate instant light split shadow talent. Buzz. When the two beams of Nine Tribulations Star fell, they suddenly trembled and turned into 10 Nine Tribulation Stars. The front of the starlight shone with a white aurora and emitted a faint wheel ripple. All the geniuses' mouths trembled as they sucked in a breath of cold air and almost peed their pants. Such a terrifying attack. And he could still turn 2 into 10? Is he even human? Chapter 1101. Sluggish Rune. Lin Chun roared in his heart, and a gray rune fell from the sky, suppressing demons, sealing ghosts, and freezing space in just a second. The space around Jian Qingqing and her own battle chi suddenly became as slow as a turtle. This sluggish rune directly consumed 4,000 points of Lin Chen's rune energy. Lin Chen only had about 22,000 points of sluggish runes at the moment, and he used about 1/5 of his rune energy against a war emperor, 2 powerful Nine Tribulation Stars, and a sluggish rune with 4,000 points of rune energy. It could be said that he gambled everything on this moment. Facing Lin Chen's series of trump cards, Jian Qingqing smiled like a flower and said dreamily, "Finally, I met an opponent worthy of being slightly serious. Chi." Boom, boom, boom. Jian Qingqing's battle chi was greatly depleted, and the odd crystal that was injected in her jade Chris Mountain was activated under the blazing light. Her delicate body was like thousands of swords shooting out at the same time, and the sharp aura pierced through the sky, piercing through the sluggish rune's restraint. In an instant, Jian Qingqing's hands formed a grasping gesture, and an energy sword formed by red battle chi appeared in her palm. She still didn't pull out the sword on her back. She held the energy sword and slashed horizontally. Her aura pierced the sky, and a rainbow pierced the sun, cutting the stars and breaking the moon. Rip! Chi! 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 Boom! The sword aura exploded wildly, and 10 nine-color destructive light pillars shot up into the sky. The overflowing destructive energy waves and sword aura fragments shot out continuously, reverberating on the surface of the space enchantment, causing ripples. Then, the 10 light pillars merged into one, and it was thousands of feet in size. It was like a 9-color divine light that could split heaven and earth apart. It expanded the range of the space enchantment, causing spiderweb-like cracks to appear on the space enchantment. It actually cracked the space enchantment of the dragon platform. All the geniuses were shocked and wanted to use their movement techniques to retreat. However, the space enchantment was quickly repaired and wouldn't suffer a destructive blow. Even Lin Chun had to use Dragon Flash to retreat to the edge of the dragon platform. He continuously used Long Kingwo and a few Valyrian Bodhi seeds to quickly heal his injuries. The ghost-masked, gray-robed man outside the arena had a grave expression on his face. His usually cold and stern expression also revealed a bit of shock. Last time, when he ambushed Lin Chun, if Lin Chun had used such a powerful killing move, he would have died without a doubt. Not even dregs would have been left behind. This time, the power was at least several times stronger than before, perhaps even close to 10 times. My charging rune and penetration rune are becoming less and less effective on the 9 Calamity Star. If there comes a day when the 2 attacking runes can no longer enhance its power, it means that it has reached the level of an orange rank combat skill. I've created an orange tier combat skill. I can brag about it now. Seeing this power, Lin Chun was excited. The 9 Calamity Star used Lin Chun's 9 Calamity Source as its core energy. If it was compared to an orange rank combat skill, it would be even stronger than a combat skill of the same level. The 9-colored pillar of light lasted for several dozen breaths of time before dissipating. Lin Chun used this time to madly use Extreme Return to Origin. His battle chi had recovered by nearly 70%, but he no longer had the strength to use the 9 Calamity Star. Super Chaos Innate Skill activated. At this time, the system screen popped up. Lin Chun immediately chose to activate it. He gripped his spear and prepared to kill. When the dust and energy waves dispersed, a deafening sonic boom rang out. Chi! Rip! A sword light cut through the ground, tearing the dragon platform's floor apart as if it was made of paste, brazenly attacking Lin Chun. Lin Chun raised his Dark Phoenix spear and slashed out with the Imperial Sky technique. The Aged Gold Chi split into 5. The sword light cut through the Aged Gold Chi, and when the sword light shattered, it turned into a violent storm that rained down on Lin Chun. This forced Lin Chun to quickly spin his spear with one hand, sending out a gust of wind. The Aged Gold Imperial Sky flowed through his body, bouncing off the sword light that was like broken jade. Lin Chun's arm went numb, and the corners of his mouth twitched. Damn, the power hasn't decreased at all. It can't be that terrifying. A slender figure slowly walked out of the smoke. She was wearing a red dress and carrying a sword on her back. She waved her hand and said indifferently, "Is this the technique that caused Fei Anqing to fall? Even my palms are not listening to me. It is indeed a little troublesome. However, as long as I can still move my mind, I will be able to use most of my strength. Or are you saying that you can make my whole body and even my consciousness fall into chaos?" Jian Xingqing's robe was slightly torn, revealing her snow-white, slender jade legs. Her hairpin had fallen off, and her bright red hair fell to her waist. Other than her aura being slightly reduced, there was almost no substantial damage. Witnessing this moment, the geniuses' expressions were extremely solemn, and there was even a chill in their hearts that made their hair stand on end. This woman was perhaps the most terrifying person of their age that they had ever seen in their lives. In the face of 10-9 tribulation stars, the number of geniuses present who could take it head-on without dying did not exceed 5. It was definitely not because Lin Chun was weak, but because Jian Xingqiang was too strong. She was unreasonably strong. Lin Chun has fallen. I don't think he'll be able to use that move again. This Jian Qingsheng is completely equivalent to a saint. Lin Chun was able to force her to use the power of the odd crystal to resist, which is already an extremely proud record. It's a pity this is a life and death battle. It's only possible if one side falls. Although Lin Chun is full of tricks, it's undeniable that this young master feels a little pity for his talent. If he can cultivate for another 100 years, there may be a glimmer of hope. The geniuses shook their heads. Almost no one was optimistic about Lin Chun. On the peak of the mountain, a trace of hesitation appeared on the cold and charming face under the cloak. Even she did not think that Lin Chun could get through this round. On the dragon platform, Lin Chun gripped the spear tightly. A super chaotic state will only make her lose control of her right hand temporarily. It won't be of any substantial help, unless dozens of super chaotic states are activated at once. Beside Jian Qingsheng, the layers of sword curtains still existed, and there were still countless sword chi wandering and cutting in the space around her. It was not a place that ordinary attacks could get close to. Lin Chun, you're very strong, worthy of me drawing my sword. I'm looking forward to seeing you show me even more strength than before. Clang! A dragon's roar pierced the 9 heavens, shocking the spectating geniuses. Jian Qingsheng is about to draw his sword. Yan Wuxia's eyes stare at the sword behind Jian Qingsheng. It's finally coming, the strongest sword. I only have 4 more high-grade blue rank killing moves left. It seems like I can only take a gamble. Lin Chun wanted to use his killing move to fight with Jian Qingsheng. Suddenly, a brand new and complete memory was transferred to his mind. Although it was the first time he came into contact with it, it was extremely familiar, as if it was engraved in his consciousness. Lin Chen's eyes became absent-minded for a moment, and he muttered to himself like he was in a dream. Seize the 5 spirits of chaos. Start the 9 tribulations of the universe. Go against the cycle of life and death, the eternity of sure tie. Chapter 1102. At this moment, the 9 tribulations' fate wheel in Lin Chen's body began to change. Jian Qingsheng held the blood-red sword hilt on his back. Every inch he pulled it out, a dazzling red light shone out, turning the sky red. Lin Chun, take this. The bright red sword aura slashed through the blood-red sword and went straight for Lin Chun. Lin Chun, who was dazed for a moment, came back to his senses. With a flash of his sword, he changed to a saber. Holding the azure bright moon, Lin Chun raised his head and laughed maniacally. Good. Take my saber as well. Whoosh! An extremely dazzling moonlight slash flashed out from Lin Chen's hand. This slash was as bright as a mirror and as bright as the moon. It was extremely fast. The only difference was that this slash had combined Lin Chen's 9 types of heavenly tribulation battle chi. It was no longer just 1 or 2 types of battle chi. The sword and the saber collided. Bang! Bang! The entire dragon platform seemed to have been hit by a hurricane, and the sky and earth were turned upside down. From the beginning to the end, there was a ghastly, giant fissure. Both sides retreated. Lin Chun retreated 8 steps, while Jian Qingsheng retreated 6 steps. However, Jian Qingsheng's footsteps were heavier. All the geniuses were dumbfounded. This time, Lin Chun did not use the technique of splitting into 5. However, he took Jian Qingsheng's sword. Jian Qingsheng suddenly looked at Lin Chun. He was shocked, stunned, and more than that, surprised. Jian Qingsheng, who had always been indifferent to the extreme, said in a daze as his delicate cheeks flushed with a mysterious redness. Ah, this is it, this is it. This is the kind of battle I'm looking for. All the geniuses outside the platform were stunned. What was going on? Rumble. An orange-red tornado suddenly appeared above Lin Chen's head. Like a hurricane, like a storm, it grew bigger and bigger. In the storm that covered the sky, an illusory figure appeared. That person had his hands behind his back, and his hair was light and light. His long hair was draped over his shoulders, and his true appearance couldn't be seen. However, he seemed to be emitting a domineering belief. Even the will of the clear sky sage king, who was hiding above the miasma, was moved. What kind of mental cultivation method is this? I've never seen such an orange-tier mental cultivation method before. The geniuses swallowed their saliva with difficulty and spoke in a trembling voice. This is the phenomenon of cultivating an orange-tier mental cultivation technique. I've seen with my own eyes the moment senior apprentice brother successfully cultivated the orange-tier mental cultivation method. Lin Shen's phenomenon is more than 10 times more terrifying than my senior apprentice brothers. What kind of orange-tier mental cultivation technique is this? Wait. Could it be that Lin Shen had been using mental cultivation methods that were below the orange tier in his previous battles? He's already so strong, but he hasn't used any orange tier mental cultivation methods before? No, the mental cultivation method he used before might not be orange tier, but it already had the power of an orange tier. The orange tier mental cultivation method that he has successfully cultivated this time is many times more powerful than his previous mental cultivation method. Even the monster-level geniuses were frightened. The pressure that Lin Shen gave them was on par with Jian Qingqing's. Lin Shen's pupils slowly turned orange and red. The Nine Tribulations battle chi in his body was renewed. Not only had it recovered to its peak, but it had also reached an unprecedented height. The system screen popped up. Host has successfully cultivated the advanced mental cultivation method of the Nine Tribulations of Creation, the Tai Sky Fu technique. Cultivation progress, 60%. Host has already cultivated the advanced mental cultivation method. The Tai Sky Fu technique automatically inherits the plus 15 base level enhancement of the Nine Tribulations of Creation. Advanced fire energy, 12,500 points x 510% equals 63,750 points. Advanced earth energy, 33,560 points x 510% equals 171,156 points. Advanced wood energy, advanced light energy, 7,050 points x 510% equals 357,255 points. Advanced dark energy, 28,680 points x 510% equals 146,268 points. Advanced elemental energy, 63,750 points for fire, 171,156 points for earth, 52,020 points for wood, 51,662 points for metal, 52,658 points for water, 50,550 points for thunder, 52,410 points for wind, 357,255 points for light, 146,268 points for dark. All of Lin Shen's elemental attribute values had increased by more than 4 times. Lin Shen's 9 tribulations of creation had not become stronger. It was only because the previous enhancement had been transformed into the foundation of the mental cultivation method of the Tai Sky Fu technique. Strictly speaking, the power of the advanced elemental attribute values that Lin Shen had previously obtained was multiplied by 5. 1 times. The plus 15 enhancement of the mental cultivation method is 410%, and the remaining 100% is the foundation. However, if these elemental values became the foundation of the mental cultivation method of the Tai Sky Fu technique, the power of the mental cultivation method would be raised to an extremely terrifying level. This was even more terrifying than the quadrupling of the elemental attribute values. The magical thing was that at this moment, there was a grayish-white misty space in the center of Lin Shen's 9 Tribulations Fate Wheel. Only Lin Shen himself could see this space. Any expert who scanned his body would not be able to discover it. In the grayish-white misty space, there was actually a huge 9 Tribulations Fate Wheel hanging. The Tai Sky Fu technique originated from the primordial age of the universe. When heaven and earth were first created, time and space were born. Seize the 5 spirits of chaos and start the 9 tribulations of heaven and earth. Go against the cycle of life and death and open the eternity of Tai. Immortal and indestructible, Fu Tian exists forever. Cultivating this mental cultivation method will allow you to obtain Fu Tian's will and surpass heaven and earth and gods. After reading the mental cultivation method in an instant, Lin Shen's mind was extremely clear, but he was still extremely shocked. This mental cultivation method of the Tai Sky Fu technique required one to use the 9 tribulations of creation to open the Tai Sky from his 9 tribulations fate wheel, the 9 tribulations holy aura. This Tai Sky was an existence that was above gods and heaven and earth. If the Tai Sky was successfully opened, it could create all the power that the host possessed. In short, the Tai Sky would also have the power that Lin Shen possessed. For example, if Lin Shen was a saint who had opened 5 saint acupoints, then after he cultivated the Tai Sky in his body, there would be 5 more saint acupoints in the Tai Sky. This was equivalent to Lin Shen having twice as many saint acupoints as an ordinary saint. Even Lin Shen was so shocked that he felt dizzy. This Tai Sky Fu technique was incomparably powerful. Similarly, Lin Shen now had 2 9 tribulations fate wheels. His 9 tribulations origins were 2 balls. Lin Shen had just consumed a large amount of 9 tribulations origins. His 9 tribulations fate wheel had withered, but now it was reborn. Because he was using the 9 tribulations fate wheel in the Tai Sky, the 2 were swapped, and Lin Shen's strength had recovered to its peak. Lin Shen's strength had more than quadrupled. Just now, Lin Shen did not even need to use instant light shadow clone, and he had already taken Jian Qingsheng's sword. Jian Qingsheng, who had not cultivated the Tai Sky Fu technique, could fight him with all his strength with one hand. Clang! Rumble! Lin Shen could not help but close his eyes, intoxicated. The difference was like heaven and earth. The difference in strength was like the difference between heaven and earth. This feeling of advancing by leaps and bounds, yet being incomparably stable in his control of power, how wonderful was it? The ultimate moment talent is no longer suitable for orange-tier mental cultivation techniques. Although it's a pity, this feeling is wonderful. Even in the face of a real saint, Lin Shen dared to fight to the death. Jian Qingsheng, who was opposite him, saw Lin Shen's aura growing stronger and stronger. She could not help but stroke her blood sword and clamp her legs together like crazy. Her cherry lips parted slightly, revealing her snow-white, jade-like teeth. She was intoxicated and crazy. Lin Shen, I'm so happy. You make me so happy. Quickly use your saber and continue to point it at me. Quickly. I want you to use more power. You want me? I can last very long. Lin Shen smiled coquettishly. Chapter 1103. With the saber in his hand, Lin Shen's silver robe fluttered even though there was no wind. Jian Qingsheng looked like a girl who had just found a handsome young man. With a dazed expression, he aimed at Lin Shen and slashed his sword across the sky. Lin Shen held his saber and slashed diagonally. Moonlight shone in the sky. Chi! Bang! Their saber light and sword shadows covered the entire dragon platform. Fast, extremely fast. It was extremely fast. Countless afterimages of saber wind glowed with divine light that was as bright as the moon, and they clashed with the blood-red sword rainbows that were like layers of red clouds. It was truly a 1-second battle. The geniuses were dazzled and couldn't see where the 2 of them were. Activated passive innate skill. Tearing. Activated passive innate skill. Super chaos. When Lin Shen once again activated the Imperial Gungjin Shi to protect his body, the sharp sword Shi that permeated an area of 100 feet around Jian Qingsheng could no longer easily break through his defense. The aftermath of the saber wind was like a continuous explosion. The two of them fought from the sky to the dragon platform, and from the dragon platform to the edge of the spatial boundary. Again and again, the spatial boundary was shattered. Is this the speed and destructive power of a fifth tribulation combat emperor? Bullshit. You call them fifth tribulation combat emperors? This is a F***king battle between saints. Even a saint who has opened one saint point may not be able to defeat either of them. This is too terrifying. Are they really the same age as us? A battle between the future monstrous geniuses. Without a doubt, we are witnessing a battle between the future monstrous geniuses on the monstrous geniuses list. The monstrous geniuses couldn't help but gasp in amazement. After the close combat, Lin Chen's super chaos state was constantly triggered, forcing Jian Xingqiang to activate her bloodline power. Rumble. Jian Xingqiang's bright red hair became light, and a blood-red mark appeared between her eyebrows. Her pupils turned crimson, making her look charming and beautiful. Seeing Jian Xingqiang activating her bloodline power, Yan Wuxie's expression changed greatly. I see. She doesn't have the talent of fifth-grade saint bloodline. She came from that place. The only one who noticed this detail was Yan Wuxie. After her bloodline was activated, Jian Xingqiang's strength skyrocketed. Even though Lin Chen's super chaos had been stacked nearly 10 times, its effect on Jian Xingqiang was still weak, so she could still use more than 90% of her strength. This was largely due to Jian Xingqiang's tempered will and swordsmanship. Just as she had said, as long as she still had a shred of will, she would be able to display most of her strength. In terms of pure strength, Lin Chen and Jian Xingqiang were still slightly inferior. This was due to the difference in experience and bloodline talent. However, Lin Chen's overall strength had skyrocketed after his cultivation method had improved. So had his speed. Even if he couldn't defeat Jian Xingqiang, he would still be undefeated. Rip, bang. After exchanging over 1,000 blows, they collided once more. The two of them were knocked back, and they both stabilized their footing. Jian Xingqiang's cheeks were flushed red. He said with infatuation, "So powerful. Lin Chen, you've made my sword Dao even more perfect. I'm really starting to like you more and more." Lin Chen shrugged and smiled casually. "Is that so? Maybe you'll like me even more after I take out my spear." Lin Chen knew that this woman was in heat because she had gotten what she was after, not because of him. Suddenly, Lin Chen felt a chill down his spine. A gaze from a certain direction seemed to want to kill him. "You must take this sword. Otherwise, you'll disappoint me." Jian Xingqiang's cheeks were flushed red, and a trace of fanaticism appeared on her face. Her bright red hair fluttered in the wind. She flew in the air and released her sword intent. The blood sword glowed with a sharp sword light and pointed at Lin Chen. Qi. A large amount of battle qi was channeled into the odd crystal in her chest. Jian Xingqiang's sword ignited with a blood-colored flame that condensed into a red rainbow that was dozens of feet long. The sharpness of the blood sword shocked the geniuses so much that they couldn't help but retreat more than 10 miles. Lin Chen swapped his saber for his bow. He held the bow in his left hand and pulled the Azure Imperial Thunder Sacred Bow with his right hand. Majestic battle qi was channeled into the wheel-light odd crystal in his right arm. Her sword is an orange-grade sword technique and is perfectly compatible with her mental cultivation method. It should be a sword technique from the same lineage as her mental cultivation method. Its power is very high, and with the power of the odd crystal, its power might be comparable to the destructive power of a saint with 2 sacred points. I can't hide anymore. In a flash, Lin Chen activated 2 offensive runes and pulled the bowstring with all his might. He circulated the meridian route of the auspicious feather, and majestic battle qi emerged. Lin Chen suddenly released the bowstring, and a spiraling feather arrow shot into the sky. Everywhere it passed, there was a blazing spiral storm. Wong! The arrow trembled and split into 5. Rainbow afterglow. The blood sword slashed, and everywhere the sword rainbow passed, there was a tornado-like afterglow. It was like a sword from beyond the heavens, a sword that was as beautiful as a fairyland. When the sword rainbow cut the spiral storm of arrow light, it exploded in an instant. Bang! In an instant, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. The vast dragon platform was shattered on the spot by the red and white auroras. Only the spatial enchantment was still strong. Not only was it broken, but it was also constantly repairing. The red afterglow and the white blaze continued to spread like two giant beasts fighting. Lin Shun and Jian Qingsheng were affected in different ways. Both of them were unable to escape the area outside the dragon platform's spatial enchantment and were injured by this powerful collision. After dozens of breaths, the red and white storms slowly dissipated. The two of them stood in the void. Lin Shun was panting with blood at the corner of his mouth. Jian Qingqing's robe was torn, revealing a large patch of white, and his aura was weaker than before. Boom! The wind and clouds suddenly changed, and Jian Qingqing's sword momentum changed again. Lin Shun switched from the sacred bow to the spear, and his battle intent rose steadily. The spectating geniuses swallowed their saliva. The dragon platform that could withstand the attack of an early stage saint was actually shattered by these two combat emperors. What will the outcome be? Who will survive between the two of them? It's too scary. This is the most terrifying deathmatch between combat emperors that I have ever seen in my life. The ghost mask gray-robed man was filled with murderous intent, as expected of the person that Master instructed us to deal with immediately. He is indeed extraordinary. If this person becomes a saint, he will definitely be a big threat. Everyone had a premonition that the outcome of mutual destruction was inevitable. Then, a voice slowly sounded in the void. The two contestants on Dragon Platform 1. I announce that both of you have passed the cycle of life and death match. Previously, two contestants on Dragon Platform 64 had already perished together. Both of you can obtain a spot, and there is no need for a death match. The clear sky Sage King's voice sounded, and the geniuses were moved. Even a Sage King cherished their talents. It was clear that these two were very talented. Lin Shun was stunned. He then turned to look at Jian Qingsheng and smirked. I also think that it's good to stop now, don't I? Oomph. Jian Qingsheng snorted coldly. I know you still have trump card. You haven't used that unavoidable attack from before. Don't you also have a killer move? Why bother with this? I don't want to fight such a meaningless battle. Lin Shun shrugged. Then what kind of battle is meaningful to you? Jian Qingsheng asked, as if he was very interested in Lin Shun. Lin Shun was stunned and smiled evilly. I will tell you when we are in bed. After saying that, Lin Shun leaped and took the attribute light balls that Jian Qingsheng had dropped. On the bed, Jian Qingsheng was stunned. After a few breaths, he spat softly. Oomph. Stinky man. Chapter 1104. Lin Shun returned to Little Shadow and Luo Yao Er's side. Luo Yao Er asked seriously, what is the origin of your cultivation method? Lin Shun was taken aback and shrugged. I don't know either. My cultivation method was picked up by others. Who cares about its origin? I'll cultivate it first. Luo Yao, in the thick miasma high up in the sky, the distorted figure couldn't help but laugh maniacally. Ha ha, seems like the harvest this time is not small. One is a peerless monster from the sword domain and sword world. The other cultivated a cultivation method that even this king can't see through. No matter which one it is, they are suitable to be this king's substitute. It's a pity that these two people died. This king should be the one to display their talents. There was a hint of ruthlessness brewing in his laughter. The battle in the tomb continued. After a day, the final battle finally came to an end. Lin Shun and his two clones passed safely and finally gathered 500 super geniuses. Among these people, there were 91 geniuses ranked in the top 2,000, 309 in the top 5,000, and 100 outside of the top 5,000. And very good. Next, as long as you pass this king's third round, you will be given the rewards of the second round. At that time, You'll have the odd crystals, orange grade cultivation methods, alchemy handprints cultivation methods, everything you desire. Don't worry, there will be no danger to your life in the third round. But it will depend on how long you persevere. The longer you persevere, the better the rewards. Clear Skies Sage King's voice made the geniuses excited. Note danger to their life in the third round. Did this mean that Clear Skies Sage King valued their lives and valued them? Lin Shun was vigilant. This old bastard had set up layers of arrangements. The following situation wouldn't be so simple. For the next test, those who want to watch a show can leave. This king was magnanimous and allowed you to watch the samsara life and death competition. But now, I won't let you watch so easily. Those who don't listen to my advice will bear the consequences. Clear Sky Sage King announced. Some of the old antiques and geniuses who were watching the battle side and left. Lin Shun kept Little Shadow into the peach blossom plant pouch and looked at Luo Yao. Luo Yao said coldly, "It's fine, don't worry about me. I'll be fine here." It was because staying by Lin Chen's side was the safest. Firstly, this safety was psychological, and secondly, it was physical. Just as Lin Chen had guessed, Luo Yao had the ability to control him. On the other hand, if she took away the Devil Seal's energy, after some people left, 500 light beams fell from the sky and entered the people who had passed the transmigration competition. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. As the light beam fused into their bodies, everyone's will seem to have gained something. Whoosh. With the passage of time and the passage of time, a stone tablet that was dozens of feet tall rose from the mountain range, breaking out of the ground. The stone tablet was enveloped by a layer of energy enchantment, which rippled like waves. The illusory characters were extremely profound. However, the most terrifying thing was that when everyone focused their gazes, they actually noticed that they were unable to see the words on the stone tablet clearly. No, to be more precise, it was impossible to look at it directly. There was a powerful pressure coming from the stone tablet. Seeing the stone tablet, Luo Yao's body trembled. After entering the tomb for so long, this was the first time she was moved. Luo Yao had a bad feeling in her heart. He actually has this thing, this is bad. And what Lin Shin saw made him even more ecstatic. Above the stone tablet, there was a monstrous and dazzling golden light flowing. In the middle of the stone tablet, there was a golden treasure chest floating. The treasure chest had a faint golden glow, simple and unadorned. It was filled with an invincible, overbearing aura that could dominate the heavens, as though a war god was sealed inside. Lin Shin was excited. The treasure chest of the war god set. Clear Skies Sage King's voice sounded again. This is the god's monument. This king obtained it when he was roaming the sacred boundary. It contains the will of the god spirit. To you mortals, you might never be able to understand how mighty the god spirit is. Just a strand of his will is enough to sink countless mortal planes. Clear Skies Sage King's voice caused all the geniuses to have a change of expression. It was actually a stone tablet that contained the will of the god spirit. For the third round, you have to persist in front of the god's monument for a long time before you can obtain the reward. Those who kneel before the god's monument will be spared from the suppression of the divine aura, but it will end in failure. Those who can persist for 15 minutes under the divine aura will be rewarded with a low-grade odd crystal. Those who can persist for 30 minutes will be rewarded with a spirit plant seed of luck. Those who can persist for 45 minutes will be rewarded with an orange-grade cultivation technique. Those who can persist for the longest time will be rewarded with this king's legacy. Such a reward instantly made the eyes of most of the geniuses turn red. Buzz! Before everyone could react, the energy enchantment of the stone tablet suddenly disappeared. Rumble! Sacrifice your lives to the god. A voice suddenly reverberated in everyone's ears. A will that could dominate the 9 heavens seemed to have awakened from a deep slumber. A pair of eyes opened from the bottom of everyone's hearts, releasing a pressure that could suppress all living beings. Boom, boom, boom. In just a breath, more than a dozen geniuses were blasted out. They hurriedly knelt on the ground, sweating profusely. All the geniuses' faces were ashen, pale, frightened, or shocked. It was as though the universe of stars was suppressing their bodies and spirits. They couldn't even raise their heads, let alone look directly at the god's monument. This is the will of the god. How imposing. I'm about to explode. I can't hold on any longer. More and more geniuses knelt down. So what if it's a true god? This young master has fought and killed so many geniuses and experts. Even a saint was injured by this young master's sneak attack. Just a mere will of the god. Watch how I break you. There were some geniuses within the top 2,000 who wanted to resist the divine aura. However, the moment he raised his head, endless darkness rushed towards him. He seemed to have sunk into the vast universe, and a pair of eyes as vast as a galaxy appeared in his mind and looked straight at him. It was a pair of eyes that contained invincible spirit. He was so frightened that he stepped back and almost knelt down. At that moment, he realized how small he was. In front of the god, he was more than an ant. He was simply a speck of dust in the sea of sand. What kind of great and boundless existence was that? How could a mortal question and blaspheme it? With a plop, the monster-level genius in the 36 regions knelt down. I actually wanted to resist the great god. I deserve to die. I deserve to die. He was so frightened that he pissed his pants. His eyes kept rolling back, and his body twitched. He actually peed his pants on the spot. The top 2,000 geniuses in the genius ranking had all experienced life and death situations. They were quick-witted, bathed in blood, and were born with great opportunities. Their tenacity had been tempered thousands of times. As the pinnacle of the combat emperors, they even dared to fight against the saint. Even if they were no match for the saint, their temperaments were the best among all the combat emperors. The monster-level genius who wanted to resist the god actually knelt down so easily and lost his consciousness. The geniuses who were ranked close to him had a slight change in expression. This was the result of trying to resist the god. If it wasn't a will, but a true god, they would have died millions of times. At that moment, no one dared to have any thoughts of blasphemy against the god. The clear sky Saint King observed this scene for the miasma in the void. On the other side, Lin Chen's spirit suddenly felt an endless force pressing down on and suppressing him. His flesh and blood seemed to be pierced from the inside out by countless sharp swords. What was even more terrifying was that the pressure seemed to be able to arouse the instinctive fear of living creatures. It was infinitely magnified, infinitely magnified. It was as if a hand was grabbing his heart, and his heart would be crushed at any time. So what if it's the will of the god? You want me to kneel down? F*CKU. Lin Shen raised his head and stared at the god's stone tablet with an ominous glint in his eyes. A strong and violent battle, intent rose from the bottom of Lin Shen's heart. Life and death were indifferent. God was nothing. Chapter 1105. And there's still a few good seedlings. For my plan, those whose willpower cannot resist the will of God are all useless trash. Even if they become saints, they will only be stronger than ants. They will not be able to enter that area. Suddenly, a scene that even the sage king did not expect appeared on the god's stone tablet. Oh, A pitiful cry broke the silence. The one who let out this pitiful cry was Luo Yao. Memories that were filled with killing intent and hatred exploded in Luo Yao's mind. The voices of her ancestors echoed in her mind. Kill, kill, kill all the humans. It was the gods of the human race who created the demonic tribe. They treat us as playthings. They're all crazy people. Kill them all. What made Luo Yao suffer was not the will of God, but the memories of her ancestors that appeared in her mind. Many of the ancestors of the demonic tribe had fallen in the hands of the gods of the sacred boundary. They hated the true gods of the human race to the extreme. A trace of the will of God had ignited the hatred engraved in their memories. Suddenly, the Godstone tablet seemed to have sensed something. It exploded with a suction force, trying to pull Luo Yao over. There seemed to be an invisible force that dragged her to the ground, and she was constantly pulled over by the Godstone tablet. Her cloak was torn, and her hair was scattered. Her peerless appearance was revealed, but no one cared to admire it. Everyone was bitterly struggling under the will of the Godstone tablet. Luo Yao covered her head with a painful expression. She wanted to reach out to Lin Shun, but just as she raised her trembling hand into the air, she gritted her teeth and put it down. A suction force pulled her all the way over. With a smack, she was finally stuck to the Godstone tablet. Boom! Dozens of geniuses were sent flying. They either knelt down or vomited blood and fainted. The pressure of the Godstone tablet had actually doubled. Even the Clear Sky Sage King did not expect this situation. I actually made a mistake. This lady is actually from the demonic tribe. The Clear Sky Saint King exclaimed in surprise. Then he said loudly, "Haha, the divine stone tablet's divine intent seems to have found something that it hates. Its divine might has doubled. Therefore, my time requirement for all of you has been reduced by half." I didn't expect a demonic tribe to sneak in. Interesting. As soon as these words came out, the faces of all the geniuses turned green and purple. His divine might had doubled? Who could withstand this? The multiplied divine might was not something that could be offset by having the time. It was beyond the limits of what many people could bear. Demon tribe? Could it be that woman? Damn you. Are you going to bring misfortune to the human race here? O great true God, please retract your divine might. We mortals can't bear the wrath of a god. Mother asterisk her, the devil cultivator race is really the most damned race anywhere. They can even implicate us here. Scum, trash race, quickly be suppressed to death by the divine might. Stop harming people here. Many geniuses were unable to raise their heads under the divine might. They lowered their heads and roared. The memories of her ancestors surged into her mind again and again as she was surrounded by endless curses. The pressure of the gods was like countless ropes strangling her neck. Luo Yao, who was stuck on the god's stone tablet, grew increasingly pale. Perhaps, when I die one day, I'll be like this. Luo Yao was relieved. Thank you, Lin Shun, for letting me have a good dream. The feeling of being carried by someone is not bad. As if it was natural, her beautiful eyes trembled slightly, and she closed her eyes. Bang! The ground collapsed, and a huge pit dozens of feet wide was created. When it collapsed, it became the last straw that crushed many geniuses. They were instantly suppressed by the divine might and knelt down. King Noisy, all of you are quarreling like mad dogs. Shut up. The young man's angry shout stunned everyone. This is Lin Shen's voice. Although everyone could not turn their heads, they could recognize the owner of the voice. Only a few monster-level geniuses could raise their heads. When they turned to look, their pupils trembled in fear. Some of the geniuses standing near Lin Shun were stunned, and their mouths were slightly agape. Bang! 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 The ground shook. Lin Shun was actually walking toward the Godstone tablet step by step. He was actually walking under the suppression of the divine might. Wherever Lin Shun passed, a hurricane of air was created, and his clothes fluttered in the wind. On the Godstone tablet, Luo Yao's beautiful eyes trembled slightly. She saw the young man walking toward her step by step. Even if he was criticized by everyone, he did not change his expression. Even if he was facing the divine might, he still held his head high and did not yield. It was as if even the heavens and earth could not suppress him. Creak, creak, crack, crack. When Lin Shun walked in front of the Godstone tablet, the sound of bones being squeezed could be heard. The divine might was the strongest within 100 feet of the Godstone tablet. Lowly mortal, do you know the greatness of God? You mortals are just God's playthings. Back off. The word back off emitted an even stronger divine might. It was as if the whole world was twisting and pressing down on Lin Chun. Splat! The skin on Lin Chun's joints cracked, and blood gushed out. He clenched his teeth tightly, and his body was bathed in blood. He actually withstood the divine might once again. The greatness of God has nothing to do with me. You want me to kneel? You're just a mere will. Who do you think you are? Lin Chun let out a thunderous roar that shook the clouds. Even the clear sky Saint King was moved. The geniuses felt their scalps go numb. This kid actually had the intention to fight against the divine might. A battle emperor had the intention to fight against God. However, the 9 tribulations battle chi in Lin Chun's body started to circulate automatically at this moment. Tai Fu Tian technique seized the 5 spirits of chaos and opened the 9 tribulations of the universe. Go against the cycle of life and death and open the eternity of Tai. Undying and indestructible, Fu Tian exists forever. To cultivate this technique, one must have the will to defy the heavens and the gods. Only then can one inherit the will of Fu Tian, surpassing the heavens and the gods. Congratulations, host. The host will has perfectly matched the requirements of the current cultivation technique. When the system screen popped up, Lin Chun's control of the Tai Fu Tian technique seemed to have reached a higher level. His battle chi was like an extension of his arm, and it seemed to have been sublimated. The divine might was extremely strong, but Lin Chun's 9 tribulations battle chi started to circulate crazily according to the meridians of the Tai Fu Tian technique. One of his eyes was red and the other was orange. This is... Lin Chun was moved. As long as he circulated the technique, the pressure that the divine might brought to him started to weaken. The divine might was indeed strong, but Lin Chun's will had never been subdued. His strong fighting spirit and the Tai Fu Tian technique were perfectly combined. Cultivating the Tai Fu Tian technique would allow one to obtain the will of Fu Tian, surpassing the heavens and the gods. From this moment on, just the aura and divine might alone could not suppress Lin Chun. Boom, boom, boom. Step by step, he walked to the front of the divine stone tablet. That was the place where the divine might was the strongest. A few geniuses stared at Lin Chun's back with their mouths slightly agape. What was he trying to do? Lin Chun cracked his knuckles, and the corners of his mouth curled up into an arrogant smile. I, Lin Chun, kneel to the heavens and not the earth, much less the gods. Get lost. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Lin Chun's furious punch actually landed on the god stone tablet. Bang! Boom! The divine stone tablet exploded and shattered. The pressure on all the geniuses present suddenly disappeared. When they took a closer look, their scalps went numb. It shattered. The divine stone tablet shattered. There was actually a mortal in this world who dared to defy a true god. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.